Hasan Piker is 420% blazed right now. I have never seen a man cook himself so successfully live, but we have actually reached the zenith. Now, I know you're saying, Nux, you just gonna react to the 5-hour stream. Oh, no. I got receipts, I got debunks. We are going through this piece by piece. I have timestamps of every single retarded piece of crap my man has said. I have put this together. I have all sorts of stuff that you are going to love to see. But I want to start with possibly one of the greatest nuggets of this entire debate before we go into literally every single nitty-gritty detail and annihilate this man's pussy. I have absolutely done the legwork, done the research. Someone needs to tear this man to shreds instead of just laughing and oohing and awing without getting into controversial political waters. And I will get into all the controversial political waters all you want. Apparently, no one in this debate understands collateral damage, which is funny and sad at the same time. This isn't going to be getting into the nitty-gritty details of specific geopolitical conversations as much as the absolute shit that this man said. While I don't agree with Ethan in many separate weird political stances, I do think that Hasan is an actual danger and threat to society. Let me show you this clip.
I'm going to say this very clearly.
No, it's not that you cared. It's that
I'm going to say this very clearly to you right now. 10 toes down. Are you ready for this?
Go ahead.
I believe what the Houthis are doing in terms of stopping Israel doing a genocide to implement a blockade on the Red Sea is a good thing. 10 toes fucking down. They are on the morally right side. Don't you also think they're on the morally right side?
What have they done?
Let's make this clear. This comes right after Hasan argues that they should win the Nobel Peace Prize. I want to make this very clear. Out of this is not the worst thing he said in this entire debate. It's not, don't worry. But, in my opinion, this is the most illegal thing he said in the entire debate. Apparently, if you propagandize for an American designated terrorist organization, you can get up to 20 years in prison. Apparently, not trying to get into this, not into getting into this that much, but if you want to look into all the details of all this, propagandizing a designated foreign terrorist organization can face severe legal consequences under U.S. law. We could get into the different nitty-gritty details. Propagandizing, if it involves knowingly providing services like creating or distributing content, it may qualify as material support, even if it's not actually money given. You can keep going. It's very fun. It's a big day. Listen, I'm just saying, I think that this might be the most damning thing he said, where he straight up 10 toes on the ground supports Houthi terrorists. And by the way, we're going to go through all the details and debunk a lot of the shit that he says. I just wanted to start with that one because I really feel like that's a really special fucking moment. It really is. So as I already showed you, I have all the timestamps. We are going to be breaking this apart from the bottom all the way up. This is going to be very fun. Very fun. So lock in with me, boys and girl. We are going to be talking about the largest leftist political streamer on the planet, Hamas, Diddy, Bin Laden Piker, supporting terrorists, hating Jews, all in all, being a pretty not very good, very bad guy. And while I disagree with some things that Ethan says politically, this is definitely going to be focusing on this retard over here who's straight up supporting terrorists. All right? And this is going to be great. 2 retards fighting, but 1 retard to rule them all. We keep winning, boys and girl. All right. Let's have a good time. Let's start things off with the definition of Zionism.
So first and foremost, I think we should define what Zionism is and what you mean by Zionism and what I mean by Zionism.
Zionism is the belief that Jews should have their own homeland in the historic, Palestine area. That's it.
All right. So that is the definition of Zionism. I wonder what Hasan is going to say. All right, let's be clear. That is what Zionism means. All right, Zionism is the establishment of a Jewish nation in geographical Israel. That is what Zionism means. All right, let's see what Hasan has to say.
Okay. All right. So I believe that Zionism.
It's already bad. You don't say "I believe" for a definition. All right.
Is a religious ethno-supremacist ideology.
So he's obviously a retard here because Zionism is actually, it began anti-religious. A lot of people might not know this, like Hasan, who knows clearly very little about the entire situation in regards to the Middle East, unless it's his propaganda talking points. But Zionism did not start as a religious movement at all. In fact, Zionism genuinely pulled a lot of religious Jews off the path of being religious Jews. But he doesn't know anything like this. Right now, the term Zionist has in fact evolved a lot over the years. 1948 Zionism was anti-religious, and Zionism today is definitely much more focused on seeing some sort of Jewish homeland and stuff like that. A lot of people don't know this, but he's just wrong here.
That revolves around the exterminationist policies of removing the indigenous population that lived in, as you said, historic Palestine.
Yeah, so in fact, Zionism is really not focused on removing the indigenous population of historic Palestine. Also fails to mention the fact that Jews are also, a lot of Jews, depending on where you want to put the cutoff line in the sand, are in fact also indigenous to historic Palestine, which, whatever. Now, I'm not saying that there weren't atrocities that did happen. Obviously, that is the case in almost every single 3,000-year-old blood feud. But I do think it's important to mention here that Zionism is not about killing people. It's about Jews having a homeland. That's not how Hasan sees it, because,
As long as they are not Jews, because it's a ethno-religious supremacist ideology.
Except it's not. So, all right, so that's his definition for Zionist. Remember, I've already showed you in previous videos, Hasan says all Zionists should be treated like Nazis and essentially get killed. Now, all Zionists includes essentially anyone that thinks that Israel as a country has a right to exist. So that means almost every Christian and definitely every evangelical Christian, almost all Christians in general, as well as I'd say 90% of Jews, in his mind, should be treated like Nazis and be excised from society. And his description of Zionism is ridiculous. It's ridiculous, really massive umbrella, and also includes literally anyone in there, and calls them religious extremist freaks, even though that's definitely not how he wields it. But don't worry, gamers, because it gets way better. Way better. How does Ethan respond to that? Nope, they're just stating their claim. So get the popcorns ready, because now that we got the definitions out of the way, lock in, boys and girls. Time to talk about the Child Protective Services call made to take Ethan's children away from him because he's a so-called Zionist who's not religious, even though it's a ethno-religious movement.
iDubbbz did.
Yes, I know that, and I've addressed him
good.
thoroughly.
All right,
do you know that? Do you believe he should have included the context of the CPS call?
What?
What?
I love it so much. So, for those of you that need context, iDubbbz made an entire content cop video calling out Ethan Klein, trying to basically end his career on the internet because he's going against pro-Palestine voices or something. And essentially, he does an entire video where most of the clips that iDubbbz uses in his video is calling Ethan Klein out for random moments where he crashed out on stream right after Child Protective Services was called to take his children from him. However, iDubbbz never mentioned the fact that Child Protective Services was there to take his children from him. So, I think it's a pretty reasonable question. Hey, Hasan, do you think maybe context should have been included in a video that you contributed to?
Included the context of the CPS call?
What?
What? You don't know what I'm talking about?
Wait. I'm a little confused. You were asking me
Yes.
Yeah.
what my opinion is
On the video.
iDubbbz
Yes. Repeat it slowly so the gay retards in your audience can understand. Good job, bro.
content comp.
Correct.
Wow.
That's correct.
About the CPS.
All right, now that he made sure he understands the question, I am sure he's going to answer it.
No, maybe, sure, okay.
Yes.
I mean, I think it was more so about like your your year-long conquest of deplatforming and also harassing.
Well, 90%.
Yeah, he's not harassing and deplatforming pro-Palestine voices. I think he's fighting back against a harassment campaign made by anti-Semitic, Jew-hating, fucking terrorist supporters. Retard moment. Piss ass reply.
Some of the clips were from the episode entitled "CPS Came to My House," Hasan. I don't know if you think that's an important detail. I sure do.
Ethan, I think you know my position on this, as I made it very clear. I think it's completely inappropriate.
That's not the question.
No.
Question.
That's obvious.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. You made a video with did a total fucking hit job. All right, go ahead. Ask me a question.
All right, so that's a classic moment of Hasan not wanting to answer the most obvious question in the world, which is obviously, yes, there should have been context. The Child Protective Services was called on his house in regards to the clips of him crashing out on his stream. Like, that's insane. This dude doesn't want to literally answer a single question even remotely fairly. But anywho, we can move on to the next exciting moment. The Nazi sword, all right? So I'll be clear here. When I first saw them use that sword, I didn't think it was a big deal. I thought it was just a bleach sword. But then when I heard more context to the bleach sword situation with the swastika on it, it started getting a little fishy. What was going on?
Do you think that I deliberately was using a dog whistle in an Assassin's Creed promo, or that it was a cool sword that was laying around because it's the only long sword that I have?
You have
So first, he lies. It's the only sword that I have.
10 swords.
And debunked. He has 10 swords, in fact. Not just the one. Not just the one sword. He, in fact, has the 10 swords. So, good try. Move on to the next lie, Hamas Piker. He's a terrorist. Look, Hamas terrorists lie all the time. Hasan parrots every single Hamas terrorist talking point in regards to what's going on in the Middle East. Why? We should know he's a liar, bro. We should know he's a liar. Duh. Like, the craziest thing is, like, he'll actually believe terrorist propaganda, you know, over, like, the UN. So, why should you assume he'll tell you anything that's remotely true? Anyway, don't worry, it gets better.
I know, they're heavy. That's not a real sword.
So yes, I'm aware that it's not a real sword.
It's not a real sword. Good defense. No Jews killed with this sword.
10 to choose from. What does it matter how much they weigh?
Yeah, the other ones are heavy.
Let me paint.
The other ones are heavy. He used the sword with the swastika on it because the other 9 swords were heavy. Huge L.
A scenario. Let me paint. Hasan, let me paint a scenario for you, okay?
They were heavy, says Hasan. Truly a liberal man with a MAGA body. Am I right, guys?
Listen, okay? This is important. You participated in a video accusing a Jewish man of exaggerating anti-Semitism. You exhibited in that video the most hateful symbol against Jewish people. 1 out of 10 of your swords that you have previously already stated you know is the, quote, swastika sword. So am I insane for even... You're treating me like I'm insane for...
You ready for his response?
...bringing this up, but it sounds pretty reasonable.
I mean, it's a little insane.
So, yeah.
There we go. You're just crazy, bro. When I brandish a swastika for my hit piece video on you, listen, bro, listen. You're just crazy for thinking about that, says the progressive left. He calls him out for being Islamophobic every second day. Did you call out Frogan? Did you criticize me? You might be Islamophobic.
Yeah, microaggressions just don't exist for Jewish people.
You're asking me why iDubbbz.
It's your sword, bro. I don't believe that you weren't there.
I'm not iDubbbz.
It's his sword.
You were there, bro. It's in your fucking house.
I don't know why you're asking me.
Because it's your house and your sword.
It's his sword. What are we talking about?
But I also gave you what my speculation is.
His speculation that his one sword, 10 swords, the other 9 swords were too heavy, so this sword... So anyway, after he points out that he in fact was offended by the fact that a progressive leftist over here, someone who cares about things like Islamophobia and other things when they're specifically regarding people that he likes, when this dude was told that, hey, that was pretty hurtful that you brandished a Nazi symbol, after a good 5 minutes of arguing, because literally you cannot argue with this man without him yapping and monologuing forever, he gets asked another question.
Do you think going back that it was a mistake to use that sword?
Pretty reasonable question. Listen, You claim that it wasn't a gigantic anti-Semitic dog whistle to wield a swastika sword. Okay. Hasan, the guy who, by the way, doesn't like bleach, who immediately bought the sword because it had a swastika on it. Let's be clear here. He asked him, do you at least regret it now? Like, okay, so you're saying that it's unhinged? Sure. But a lot of Jews seem to feel that way, that that's what you meant. Do you think perhaps, if you could go back and do it again, maybe you'd use a different sword?
I don't really care about this at all.
Okay.
Hell yeah! Woo! Let's go! The most progressive man of all time. Left on left violence. It never gets old. It never gets old. A nice big fat steaming Hasan L. Hell yeah, dude.
Fantastic. Well, that really shows where
That's
you're
it.
at on this. Go ahead and ask me a question.
All right.
Okay.
Big dub. Anywho, moving on to the next thing, which I think is incredibly important and prudent because this is something that Hasan does all the time, and he's retarded for it. So I'm very excited to talk about this. A very popular slogan used by a lot of the Free Palestine people that they don't know what it means. In my opinion, I think most people say this due to ignorance, and they're retarded. Because then I really don't think most people that are protesting for Palestine actually even know what's really even going on in the Middle East at all, to be honest. So he asks Hasan what he thinks of the popular slogan, "River to the sea."
Was that you considered from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free to be an anti-Semitic slogan. You said that Jews feel like this is an exterminationist slogan and Jews fear this slogan in the United States of America.
Correct.
If you think that Israel's doing a genocide, do you feel like it is appropriate for Westerners in the United States of America and Palestinians and people of Palestinian descent to be able to use emancipatory slogans, or should they go to jail under the Trump administration?
Yeah, so terrible bad faith question. It's not an emancipatory slogan, in case you're curious. From the river to the sea means killing all Jews in Israel. There's no other way to explain it. There is literally no other possible feasible explanation for it. It's from the river to the sea. Palestine will be free is the expression. Here is the Jordan River. Here is the Mediterranean Sea. They want to wipe out all Jews between the river and the sea. They want to kill all Jews in Israel. That's what the phrase means. Now, most of the Free Palestine people, I don't think they actually know that. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. They want to kill all Jews in Israel. That's what it means. Or at least get rid of all of them. Now, I want to make something else clear that a lot of people don't want to bring up specifically here either, because a lot of people like glazing terrorists on Twitch. The leaders of both Hamas and Hezbollah have specifically said, these are two terrorist organizations. Hamas is currently in Gaza, and here in Lebanon is Hezbollah. So these guys have both specifically said they want all Jews in the world to move to Israel so that they could kill all Jews at the same time. This is literally, quote, what the terrorists actually say. Okay? Now, I personally tend to believe terrorists that kill Jews that say they want to kill more Jews. Personally. They're terrorists. They're really bad guys. Now, Hasan likes to think that their slogan, from the river to the sea, doesn't mean that.
Okay, I mean, these are pretty extreme questions. Now, I'm not making a value judgment. I'm just trying. All I was trying to do.
Question is what's happening right now.
Bro, do you want me to answer?
Okay.
Yeah. I'm trying to explain the Jewish perspective. I'm not trying to make a value judgment of it. But what I will tell you,
I am trying to make a value judgment of it personally. It is a genocidal slogan. I think the real genocidal freaks in this entire conflict are the Hamas people and the Hezbollah terrorists that are out there saying that they want to kill all Jews. In fact, the Houthis that Hasan supports so much literally have on their flag, "Death to Israel, death to America, a curse upon the Jews." Worldwide, that is a genocidal fucking disgusting terrorist organization that Hasan likes supporting 10 toes in, as he says himself. So, in my opinion, the people that say they want to genocide all Jews and then all Christians, Hamas, in my opinion, those are the genocidal freaks, and Hasan is the terrorist genocide supporter. Now, Hamas does not have the capability to do this thing, which is nice, but that is absolutely what they want to do, and it's what they tried to do on October 7th. So, anyway.
Is that, how do you feel about Norm Finkelstein?
Love Norm.
Norm Finkelstein, by the way, is another very anti-Israel Jewish politics guy.
I know he has said that it
Here's
is,
what he had to say about this.
I know what he
No,
said.
no. I want the audience to see this, Hasan.
Hold on.
Hasan, I want the audience to see this
This is not going to be a
video.
gotcha moment for you because I know Norm's position.
Good, I'm glad
He's
you
also
know. Let's
transphobic,
let the
but I don't agree
audience
with
know,
that either,
Hasan.
You know what I mean?
Hey, Hasan, let the
He's
audience
still my
watch the
goat.
video.
I can have a nuanced and reasonable disagreement with a person that I actually admire.
So that's what we're having.
Like Norm. But I have
So
a
it's
disagreement with him
nuanced
on
and
that, yes.
understandable with Norm. Let the audience watch the video, Hasan.
Okay. Go ahead.
Palestine will be free.
Let me go back. Yeah. Here's the Norm Finkelstein, a prominent figurehead in the Palestinian liberation movement.
I don't like the slogan.
I know. I have more
No,
positions that
pardon
I
me.
disagree with him on.
The video
this
clip.
as well.
Will be free. I think it's a bad slogan. I know the slogan from the 1960s, the 1970s. It was a bad slogan then, and it's a bad slogan now.
So this, you got to realize, is Norm Finkelstein, a far left, very anti-Israel guy, saying "from the river to the sea" is a fucking genocidal slogan. Like, dude. And then I wanted to show you this clip especially. Look at him. He bolts.
Because it has too
He
much
leaves. Oh my God! What an unbelievable pussy! Like that is like some of the most pussy shit you've ever seen in your entire life. Now, in case you were curious, I have people in my chat asking me to defend my claims, so I'll show you this. This is a thread that I just got. Like, you just type in Hamas kill all Jews on Twitter or Hamas kill all Christians on Twitter, and you will get a thread. These are all different statements of Hamas saying they want to kill all Jews. This is, by the way, this is the official Hamas charter, okay? This is what they stand for, and this is how they got elected, okay? The day of judgment will not come until Muslims fight Jews and kill them. Then the Jews will hide behind the rocks and trees, and the rocks and trees will cry out, "Oh, Muslim, there is a Jew hiding behind me. Come and kill him." This is the official charter for Hamas. These are fucking genocidal terrorist maniacs, and these are the people that Hasan supports. And this is another statement of Hamas senior saying we must attack every Jew on the globe. It's pretty fucking genocidal if you ask me. All right, this is Fatih Hamad, another guy saying that cut off the heads of all the Jews. Yeah, all right, okay. All right, what about this one? And it goes on. Every single one of these is a statement from another Hamas guy essentially saying we got to kill all Jews on the planet. All right, so you tell me who the genocidal freaks are. All right, very reasonable people, am I right? They're terrorists. They're monsters. They don't just kill Jews. They kill Arabs. They kill Muslims. They kill Palestinians. They are monsters. So anyway, Hamatzi over here is really, he walks away while even Norm Finkelstein, a anti-Israel guy, says "from the river to the sea" is a genocidal phrase. However, saying that they want to kill all Jews in Israel. However, Hasan decides the best possible reaction is to walk away. Anyway, moving on. Next bit of evidence. This one's very fun. The Sabra tier list. We all remember the Sabra tier list. It was a good time. So that was when on the official Twitch panel, they had a gigantic tier list. Where it was essentially an Arab to Jew racist tier list on Twitch. They all got banned for this. Everyone that participated, they got banned for like a day or a week or whatever. But they're back now, of course, because, you know, Twitch can't keep a good terror supporter down. And anyway, let's see what Hasan has to say about this.
You defended Frogan's use of the Sabra tier list. What was your opinion on that?
Oh my God.
Go ahead.
Hilarious. Look at him laughing.
I think that the Sabra hummus tier list.
Oh, the hummus tier
is
list. Yeah.
Absolutely insane to consider anti-Semitic, and most people have already laughed about it, despite the fact that it was very damaging in terms of deplatforming a bunch of content creators that participated in this, egged on by yourself, by the way.
Yes. With pleasure.
And yeah, it's not.
Oh, yeah, someone in my chat just told me, I didn't even know this. Apparently, the phrase "from the river to the sea" is considered illegal in Germany because it's an incitement of genocide against Israelis. Anyway, just thought I'd mention that.
It's insane.
Even remotely.
Okay.
It's not even remotely anti-Semitic.
Very
it's
good.
Like
Let me ask you a question.
So, not even remotely anti-Semitic, according to Hasan.
band that Twitch capitulated on.
So let me follow up with this. Have you seen the thumbnail?
Great question.
The thumbnail?
Yes, that's what I said. This
For
is the
what?
thumbnail that's still up. Now, let me ask you this, Hasan.
Hasan gets absolutely obliterated here. It's so nice.
Here's Frogan's thumbnail for the Sabra hummus tier list. In the F tier is me and Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro is not in the tier list. He has never explored or used. Why do you think Ben Shapiro?
Why would they put him there then? Could it be because he's a Jew?
Shapiro is on the F tier.
I put myself on the F tier over here, preemptively, assuming I'd be there too. I'm also a Jew. And definitely I'm a more pro-Israel Jew than Ethan, by the way. So yeah, definitely would be here too, for sure.
Ethan?
Whoa, answer the
you through this
question.
again.
What, you're dodging?
Of course he's dodging. He has nothing meaningful to say.
I'm not iDubbbz. And
I am not iDubbbz, he says. Why are you defending this tier list, which is obviously a racist tier list? Ethan, I'm not iDubbbz. Are you hallucinating, Ethan?
Oh,
I'm
but
not
you can't
Frogan.
make value judgments suddenly on your friends who you've spent all this time.
He only makes value judgments on his enemies. Have you noticed? I mean, he called me a pedophile. In different words and with like a couple of allegedlys in there, so I can't sue him. So anyway, that's Hasan, Hamas Piker, everyone's favorite Diddy party enthusiast.
Defending.
no, because I don't care.
Well, I do.
I don't. Like,
I
this
think
is
it's great
so-
you don't
this
care.
Why would he care if people are beating up Jews in New York City right now as part of Free Palestine protests? Why would he care about that? Obviously not. Anyway, all Zionists should be treated like Nazis, says Hasan. But why should he care if Jews are getting beaten up? Why should he care that 2 Israelis were murdered in Los Angeles last week? Why should he care about that? I don't know. For more details on that, feel free to check out Hasan is 410% cooked, because if you don't know, the How Cooked is Hasan franchise is the greatest franchise in the history of the internet.
Why is Ben Shapiro there?
I don't know. I don't care. Probably
Because he's Jewish.
he's also
Probably
a
because he's
massive
Jewish?
fucking. What?
Because it's the most
he's Jewish?
most prominent Jewish creators on YouTube.
Do you think Ben Shapiro's Judaism is the reason as to why he would be on this?
100% without a doubt, yes.
Wait, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Hold
go ahead,
on.
take your time. I know it's a lot to process.
Yeah, it's obvious. Like, look at him thinking. He's trying so hard to come up with any possible potential explanation for why the 2 Jews are on the bottom of the Sabra tier list. Another thing that Hasan doesn't want to mention, for whatever reason, it's kind of weird to me that he doesn't want to mention it. I'll mention it, even though Hasan doesn't want to mention it. Everyone keeps calling it the Sabra hummus tier list. It's not the Sabra hummus tier list. So there is a slang term called Sabra. This is good stuff. So the Sabra refers to any Jew born in Israel. It has its own Wikipedia page. It's not even on fucking Urban Diary or Urban whatever it's called. This is the most obvious shit in the world. It's basically, I don't want to say it's like a slur or anything, because I don't really think anyone gets offended being called a Sabra. But basically, because Jews in Israel are like abrasive and, you know, currently, as it stands, there are like 5 countries around Israel that want to kill Jews. So Jews grow up very prickly, so it's a prickly fruit, and so they call them Sabras. But that's why there is, the bottom of the tier list is Sabra. Hard R Sabra. This isn't Urban Dictionary. Sorry, I said Urban Diary like a retard. But yeah, no, so Sabra means a Jew born in Israel. So when you have Arab to Sabra tier list and you put all the Jews in Sabra tier, what the fuck do you think it's talking about?
Okay. Yeah, this is a lot to process.
Yeah, I know, man. It's tough. You really don't know what to say because
Yeah.
it looks pretty bad.
No,
does,
because
yeah.
it's so fucking stupid.
Well,
He-
tell me
he
then.
looks
Stupid.
kinda
So
dumb
he didn't explain it. He's still just yelling at him that it's stupid.
Why is Ben
now.
there?
You look kind of insane.
Okay, very good.
That's
Why is Ben
I'm
there?
having a hard time. Like, I don't know why the fucking Frogan made this thumbnail. And
Why
I
is
don't
Ben
care.
there?
Hijab the Hutt out there catching bullets.
I don't have any
catching
issue with this
strays.
thumbnail.
Why is Ben there?
Because he's a prominent defender of Israel.
You're
I
quick to
suspect.
say that Jews aren't the only Zionists.
This is such a clown move because there are a lot of defenders of Israel. Okay, he doesn't have Charlie Kirk here. All right, they didn't put Donald Trump here. Donald Trump's more famous than Ben Shapiro, and they put Ben there, not Trump. let's be honest, it's very obvious why. It's like super duper obvious. But you think Ben Shapiro's a more prominent defender of Israel than Donald Trump? The guy that wanted to make the Riviera of the Middle East Trump Gaza? Like, what are we talking about, man? I'm not Frogan. Don't talk about Jabba the Slut like that. Anyway, whatever. We could keep going. We could keep cooking. Essentially, the reason why I wanted to cut this down this way is because I wanted this to be like a definitive video, debunking the points and making it actually watchable instead of a 3-hour yap session where Hasan doesn't shut the fuck up for like 4 seconds in a row. So we are going to skip to the next moment that I have here on my very good document that I've written for myself. As you can see over here, after summing up all of these past situations, Ethan finally says, all right, let's recap the anti-Semite allegations. Because Hasan, of course, says that he's not an anti-Semite, obviously. Not an anti-Semite. Yes, he thinks that 90% of Jews should be treated like Nazis and beaten up. Yes, he doesn't care that Child Protective Services was called on Ethan Klein. Or he does care, but he doesn't think the context is important. Yes, he doesn't regret having a Nazi sword and a hit piece against a Jew. And yes, he also thinks River to the Sea is a pretty based slogan. Yes, he thinks that the Arab to Sabra tier list is not racist and Ethan's delusional. So, final wrap up. Does Hasan hate Jews? Or does he only support the terrorists that want to kill all Jews on the planet?
As your former podcast co-host, do you think that I am anti-Semitic, one? And if I am, if you think I am, do you think I'm as anti-Semitic as Candace Owens?
So, yes.
You ready?
I think you're anti-Semitic at this
Boom. What's he asking?
point. I'm comfortable saying that. Are you
At
as
this
anti?
point.
Well, let me finish.
Let me
let's
finish.
move
You
on
asked me
from
to.
You asked him 2 questions, bro. Can you stop talking for like 4 seconds?
Questions.
And let's address.
These two were co-hosts? Yeah, these two were co-hosts because they're two leftist guys that made a leftist podcast together, and then Hamas terrorists murdered over 1,000 Israelis. And then, guess what, guys? Guess what? Hasan supported the terrorists, and he was like, what the fuck? Crazy. Am I right, guys? So, yeah, anyway.
No.
What you
asked
think I'm
me.
doing that's
Hold the
anti-Semitic?
phone. You asked me 2 questions together. I'm going to answer both. You said, do you think I'm anti-Semitic? After talking to you so far today, I can say unreservedly yes. I think that you are more anti-Semitic than Candace Owens? No. But I think your form of anti-Semitism is way more destructive and sinister. Candace Owens is outright. Hold on there, Hasan.
Yeah, Candace Owens is like, I cannot believe Jews invented dinosaurs to trick Christians into thinking that God is fake. By the way, I am doing, I have like a mini series on Candace Owens as well. And I have to say, I love that one too. Don't get me wrong. Candace Owens has some wild conspiracy theories. But, yeah, I think they're both, I'll be honest. I think they're both pretty even. I'm not gonna lie. I think they're even. I wouldn't say that either one of them is more anti-Semitic than the other. It's just the far left and far right version of retard.
This is an important question.
Do you think I'm anti-Semitic now?
Yes!
I'm going to answer.
Yes!
I'm gonna answer.
Okay.
Your
Or
form of
yesterday, I think. Or 2
anti-Semitism
days ago?
is way more insidious because it's silent, it's tricky. She's out there just saying what she believes, and I respect her for that. Nick Fuentes is just out there. Nobody knows that what's his stance on Israel. Candace Owens' stance on Israel. But you're tricky. What you do is deny the heritage of Middle Eastern Jews, stuff like that. You accuse them of.
By the way, something that's important to note. And this is something that Hasan like vehemently thinks is not true, and this is really important to note. In Israel, there are currently buildings that were built 3,000 years ago by King David, a Jew. It is an undeniable fact that Jews have been in Israel for the past 3,000 years. They have. Jews have been there historically. There are cemeteries that are thousands of years old. There are cemeteries that are hundreds of years old. The cemetery in Safed, for example, is a 500-plus-year-old cemetery with Jewish writing on the stones there. All right? He likes to say that there were no Jews in Israel until 1948. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He doesn't realize the fact that there were Jews in Israel every single generation over the past 3,000 years, and every Jew that wasn't in Israel has been praying to return to Israel essentially 3 times a day. This is just a historical fact. Jesus was from there. Yes, Jesus was from Israel, a Jew from Israel. As it happens, he likes denying that little fact. He likes saying that Jews kind of just showed up about 77 years ago and decided to be bad. And not mention the fact that this is a very old story that Hasan doesn't really want to talk about because he'd rather virtue signal online and get clout for supporting terrorists.
Being always the oppressor,
What?
always. Everything.
Can you
And by the way,
point to-
you spent the first part of this debate calling me insane for what I think most people would perceive as blatant, obvious anti-Semitic
Even I think-
acts.
Yeah, so I really wanted to include that part because, in my opinion, this is an example of Ethan Klein, a Jew, who gets a lot of harassment online for being a Jew, just like me. He gets harassment in real life for being a Jew. It happens to a lot of Jews. Tell that to the Jews getting beaten up in Brooklyn for being Jews right now. It's a crazy world that we live in, and he is here telling a Jew to his face that using a swastika symbol and making an Arab to Jew tier list, none of that's offensive. But if you say the N-word, you're a bad guy. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. Like, literally, it's the same thing. I don't know. It's crazy for me to see this. Like, can you imagine him saying this to any other group at all? The far left saying something like
Perceive
this?
as blatant, calling.
Yeah, look at this. Look at this man. This is a man who's on the thumbnail. That's all I have to say. That's a man on a thumbnail for sure, for real, 100%. But anywho, I wanted to move on to the next part. Now that we've successfully summed up why Ethan thinks that he is an anti-Semite and how he has proven himself to be an anti-Semite. So this next segment is Ethan bringing up one of Hasan's fans. Hasan decides to deny that this is his fan. Not that that's relevant literally at all.
Timeline on that doesn't make a lot of sense.
I heard you in
Who
the
is this?
ADL.
What is
bro.
this?
Hey, this is your fan who ran up on me on Rodeo.
Who the fuck is this guy? My fan?
Yeah.
My fan? All right, get ready for like a crash out. Not a lot of commentary here, just a lot of crash out.
You remember.
Wait, is this the?
Oh,
Is this
wait,
the guy?
oh, yeah, you remember.
Wait. No.
I love how he fakes ignorance. He did the same thing when they caught him going to Diddy parties, by the way. He was like, oh my god, I did go to a Diddy party. I totally forgot about that.
This is the guy that you
What?
claimed was my fan, right? He was calling me the fucking.
I mean, there's a clip of being like,
on the
yo,
timeline. He's not
I
a
love
fan.
this dude. Anyway, who cares if he's your fan or not?
No.
The point is,
Hold on.
it does.
Watch him he can't even get to the point.
Hold on.
No,
Oh my god, this guy, he's like such a retard. He can't prove a single thing.
You brought this dude
it doesn't
up.
matter.
And
I'm
I
showing
believe this
him
is not
as an
the first time
example
you
of
brought
you.
this dude up. It does matter. It
Okay,
does
fine.
matter.
He's
You
not a
brought him
fan.
up.
I don't care.
This is literally not the point, bro.
Brought him up. Wait, what do you mean you don't care?
If I brought
Now you
him
don't
up,
care.
Hassan, if I brought him up, let me finish my
That person is
point.
not a fan of mine.
Save
Why
it.
did you?
Look at
Why
this
did you make it
crash out.
seem like that
This is
person was a fan of
amazing.
mine then?
Let
Look
me
at
get
this.
to there. Okay.
I'll get
You
to the
asked
point.
me-
No,
it's
no,
my
no,
turn
no,
to
no.
ask a question.
No.
Just because
Why
I
do you
brought
think
him
this
up
random
doesn't give
fucking
you the
guy is a
space
fan
to
of mine,
interject.
Ethan? Is it because he rolled up to me
Let
and
me
tried
finish.
to fucking clout farm? Is that why?
Yes.
Dude,
Okay.
this is
Thank you
awesome.
very
Where I was
much.
very clearly disturbed by his presence.
Hassan,
Is
I
that
think
why?
you know where I'm going, and I think you're scared.
Silence.
Yeah,
Ethan,
let me-
can you answer the question?
Never
Why
mind,
did you
never
falsely
mind.
claim
Hell
that
yeah,
this
dude.
fucking
Because he's on
random dude
video
who
saying
does
he
not
loves
like
you, that you're
me
his favorite
is a-
person.
By the way, this literally goes on for like 10 minutes. I'm gonna make a double speed just so you can see the level of crash out we're dealing with, just so we can stop him from making any point.
In the
fan
world,
of
what do you
mine.
mean?
Didn't you use?
All right, Hassan, here you go, buddy. Here we go. You wanted it? I got it.
I'm so
I love you.
I'm so sorry.
I love you.
Alright, so this is the guy saying I love you to Hasan. Anyway,
I love you, bro.
You're like my.
the crash out continues.
You're the goat. Wow, how crazy. I'm fucking. Is this another hysterical delusion?
Yes, it is, and I'm gonna explain to you exactly why.
Wow, dude, I love you. You're the goat, bro.
We spent a good deal of our time in the encampment. If you watch the unedited full live stream, we spent a good deal of the entirety of the encampment running away from him. Because he kept trying to ask me dumbass fucking questions.
Okay, but that's
for
not
his
nothing to do
own
with his fan.
dumbass,
Listen,
for his own
Hassan,
dumbass
please,
podcast.
you're derailing this, and I need to.
I'm telling you, I was there. I'm telling you, the situation. You are nefariously making it seem as though this person is a massive fan of mine.
I'll play it again. No, fuck.
You can play the proof again.
Oh my God.
Bro, I love
You're
You're the coolest
I love you, bro. He's not my fan.
guy in the world.
I think I'll gain them.
I think I'll gain that one.
3, 2,
Ethan,
1.
Ethan,
Yes, sir.
Ethan.
You okay?
If you think he was a fan of mine, why'd you call him a Sneeko fan when you interviewed him?
Oh
He's
my
both.
god.
Surely there's crossover.
There's a cross.
Yeah, there's a lot of people. Okay, dude, the craziest thing is, of course, there's crossover. Yes, Sneeko and Hasan have different fundamental values on a lot of different things, but there is one thing they overlap. They overlap on one thing. They hate Jews. Listen, I'm sure that there's some overlap.
I need to play the video again.
Okay,
I'll
well,
do it.
He's like dying here. Let me get to the point. Anyway, this is not super relevant. I just wanted to show you like the level of crash out. It took them, and I wrote this down, it took them 8 minutes and 28 seconds for Hasan to let Ethan play the clip, okay? I actually wrote this down because I was so flabbergasted by what actually happened. It took 8 minutes and 28 seconds for Hasan to let Ethan say his point.
That timeline on that doesn't make a lot of sense.
I heard you in the ADL, bro.
The ADL? No, I'm not. All right, so he says, I heard you're in the ADL.
That was the whole point. He only brought that up because he said, hey, I thought you were in the ADL. The whole point was he wanted to say that Hasan has been spreading a rumor that Ethan works with the ADL. That was why he brought the guy up, and it took Hasan 8.5 minutes to let him spit that out. That's awesome. That's fucking awesome. Hasan's goal was literally to yap and waste time because he was so terrified. This is awesome. But anyway, the ADL is the Anti-Defamation League. I'll be honest, I don't like the ADL. I think the ADL basically calls everything anti-Semitism, and I think that is very harmful for real people that hate Jews, like Hasan, in my opinion. So, in my opinion, this is a huge... I don't like the ADL. Anyone that says anything anti-Israel, they call an anti-Semite, and I think that's incredibly not only unproductive, I think it's also not true. So, I don't like the ADL. Just want to make that clear. However, Ethan has nothing to do with the ADL.
Bro, which, like, obviously is, you know, I perceive that as anti-Semitic.
I don't think you're in the ADL, Ethan, if that's what you're going to say.
Well, you said, and I'll quote a tweet that you made. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Go ahead. You said, I'll quote, he worked with the ADL to make Zionists a protected class on Twitch.
Oh! It's crazy. He got him.
Now, that is an outright lie.
I don't think it's an outright lie.
I worked with the
you took
ADL.
credit over it, didn't you?
Sorry. I worked with the ADL. What does that mean?
Yeah, as in like worked alongside. I don't think
Both him and the ADL both said something that was similar. That's what I meant when I said that he worked with him. Totally. Right.
you're in the ADL.
Oh,
That wasn't slander.
That's what you meant when you said I worked with the ADL. I worked beside them. Just
like how Hasan and P. Diddy worked together on going to Diddy parties. What does that imply, bro? Like, this is crazy. I can't believe that Hasan Piker worked with Sneeko and Andrew Tate and Hamas terrorists to say mean things about Jews. I can't believe they worked together on this. Oh, when I said work together, did that imply that they were actually like allies, like literally? No, I just meant they were working towards a similar goal. Okay.
just incidentally together. You didn't mean that I worked with
no,
them privately to get people banned. Of course not.
No, I do think that.
Didn't you say you choose your words very carefully?
Alongside the ADL.
You just told me briefly ago. You choose your words very carefully, Hasan.
Good stuff.
Not always. I'm famously.
Okay, we're walking that back. Sometimes I speak out the side of my mouth when I say you work with the ADL.
So.
Here you are again repeating the lie with Steiny on video. Go ahead. You had time
constantly come after me when his knows I'm not anti-Semitic and making these inferences that I am and like partnering with.
I don't make inferences. I just think he's anti-Semitic. I think he hates Jews. Now I think he expresses his hate of Jews through his love of terrorists that hate Jews, but I really think that's the same thing, to be honest. I would argue that him supporting propaganda and promoting propaganda for terrorists is, in fact, materially aiding a terrorist organization. I don't know, man. If Trump is really such a dangerous guy throwing away people that support terrorists, Hasan, I would sleep with an eye open or move back to Turkey or something. You gotta get out of there fast. You know what I'm saying?
With like the ADL and
partnering with the ADL. You want to unpack that one there, buddy?
One more time.
Knows I'm not anti-Semitic and making these inferences that I am and like partnering with like the ADL and
I cannot believe Hasan Piker would partner with Andrew Tate and neo-Nazis hating Jews. This is crazy. Oh, when I said partner, I just meant they both hate Jews, but they're operating separately. I didn't mean to like say that they were actually working together, guys.
Partnering with the ADL. You want to unpack that one there, buddy?
Yeah. Again, working with partnering with the ADL.
What an unbelievable slimy piece of shit dirtbag. It's crazy.
That is precisely what took place.
I have never spoken to the ADL, so what does that mean?
I'm not saying you
awesome.
Directed the ADL
Do you know
to take
how
action.
silly you
Well, actually,
look?
you know what? I am kind
Like,
of
he's got to know how stupid. And watch him say this. His next line is even better than what he said before.
saying that. I am implying that you directed the ADL to take action.
Well, that's
Great. Well, that's a lie, and it's slanderous. Okay. All right. So he walked back the time where he didn't say it, and then he did say it.
That's a defamatory claim that has zero proof. And frankly, it sounds a little Jewish conspiratorial.
If I thought that you worked for the ADL, I wouldn't have
I've
said
not
you worked
spoken
with
to the ADL.
I would have said you worked for the ADL. Now, what's interesting to me, of course,
Hasan,
about this is that
I do not
He changes the topic.
work with the ADL
for these bands.
And then he completely takes derails, and he's like, the bands that happened that you took credit for were similar to the ADL also got people banned. All right, you got the idea. Anyway, the next fun moment, in my opinion, is the anti-Semitism wrap-up. So put your hands together, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see the final conclusion. Does Hasan hate Jews?
Way to get them banned. I responded to them. I was on the tier list. There's been 3 instances, I think, of, in my opinion, very credible accusations of anti-Semitism. You've accused me of hallucinating all 3 now, which is very convenient.
No,
and also,
because they're not credible. We are not in agreement. These are not credible
I find myself innocent, Your Honor.
Allegations of anti-Semitism.
What?
These are hysterical hallucinations of a person who desperately wants all of his critics to be anti-Semites so he can feel
so
comfortable
glad this is on record.
Is this not the most insane shit you've ever heard? He says that Ethan is hoping all of his friends hate Jews so that he can have weapons against them. What the fuck? No, I could speak for other Jews when I say that Jews do not want there to be more anti-Semites out there, to be honest.
In the unique position that he has created for himself.
I'm so glad this is on record. So you think that,
I'm glad you yes.
So you think
I'm glad you yeah. Got him.
That the you think
silence, it's over. Like he cooked
a
him.
reasonable person would hear you say he's partnered with the ADL?
Yeah, so I gotta get to the next moment here before they yap about the ADL for another 12 minutes. But anywho, at the next timestamp I have for you, I have something glorious. The Hasan Jewish friend cash-in. See, Hasan's good moment, his good strategy is anytime he gets criticized for anything, he can say, well, I actually know a Jew that's okay with this, so therefore it's okay.
I was being silly. They attacked me, I responded. Do I know
being
who?
silly.
Yeah.
My bad. Okay, well... All right, I guess we can move on.
Well, do I think
I
got them banned? I don't know. Who knows? I think that
you got a Jewish content creator alongside multiple Arab content creators banned off the platform.
Good job. A Jew that hates other Jews, apparently, that was trying to cloud farm off Hasan's audience, got banned for making an Arab to Jew racist tier list. And he was part of the collateral damage in banning everyone else that did that. So Hasan is essentially saying, congratulations, Ethan, you went after a Jew. So this is retarded, obviously, because I think it's very clear that... like in every group of people, literally ever, you got a good 4% of people that are psychopaths. This applies to everyone, to Jews, to Christians, to Muslims, to Americans, to retards. Yeah, kinda.
Platform for 30 days.
There's a reason they call him token, my friend.
Actually reacted.
You spend time being a token, you're gonna get spent.
But it was just silly. Fuck them.
You want to cash in on your Jewish friends anymore? Can we move on?
Am I what?
Would you like to cash in on your Jewish friends more, or can we move on?
Cash in on my Jewish friends.
That's right.
I mean, that's essentially what he does every single time. He said, Ethan, I think you need to debate Sam Cedar, because Sam Cedar is Jewish, and he'll be able to convince another Jew this. Oh, you're criticizing me? Well, you know that there was another Jew on my side.
Do you know any Jewish people that aren't anti-Zionists?
Uh-oh. The answer is no. Uh-oh.
Yes.
Who?
Yes, he says immediately, because it's the right thing to say, and he's a pathological liar. Turns out I didn't think of any.
I'm not going to review. I don't want to. They're normies.
Oh,
they're normies. He has so many normie friends.
Okay.
This is a lie, by the way, my opinion.
Yeah, you're lying. You're
surrounded.
Yes,
I'm not lying.
I'm
not lying.
Absolutely lying.
Dog, I live in West Hollywood. You think I'm not around Zionist Jews? What are you talking about?
Do you pass Jews on the street? Yeah.
Yeah, I live in a mansion in the most expensive neighborhood ever. Obviously, I'm next to Jews geographically. Good answer, bro.
Yes. Are you friends with?
No, I'm friends. Yes.
Okay.
No, I'm friends. Yes, says the man. Me and my normie Jew friend, who I cannot think of right now, who definitely exists.
I don't believe you.
And they've treated me with much more dignity than you have, as a matter of fact.
Well, yeah.
I'm sure they have. Right.
Because they're not on the receiving end of an insane fucking harassment
I can have a more normal conversation with them than you, seemingly.
All right, so you think that
epic comeback. Anyway, I want to move on to the next part because, in my opinion, this is probably the most disgusting shit that some of the most inhuman stuff Hasan has done. Like, I think when people like Hasan support terrorists, I think a lot of people don't really recognize how evil terrorists are. I'll give you an example. The Houthis that Hasan likes supporting so much, they fired over the last, I think, 24 hours, they fired a dozen rockets into Israeli cities, where civilians live. But Hasan still likes and supports those guys. So I think that's very disconnected from a lot of people in reality. A lot of people think that, okay, rockets flying into city, and they can't really necessarily visualize that properly because it's so out of people's minds. As someone that's run into bunkers many, many times because of terrorists shooting missiles at your city, that's fucking horrible. It's a crazy way to live life. Now, the Hamas terrorists that Hasan likes supporting so much have fired 11,000 rockets into civilian cities over the last 20 years. They are terrorists. So let's make this clear. This is fucking awful. Like, these people are insane, but that's so disconnected from reality, a lot of people can't recognize that. We're about to bring up Hasan's rape denial, because that is very, very human.
What have we disagreed on? I'm sorry. What am I not open-minded about? What have we disagreed on, Hasan, other than me criticizing you and your friends? What have I said against the Palestinian people? Go ahead.
See, the thing is, I would have way more criticism than Ethan here, obviously. But the funny thing is, the reason why this is such a wild moment is because it's literally two people that I would categorize both of them as mid to far left, respectively, arguing essentially over how much they should be glazing terrorists. That's the only point of contention they have. The only point they actually argue about is Hasan says we should support the terrorists, and Ethan is saying, well, terrorists are still bad. That is literally the only thing they argue about. It's so hilarious that this became two retards fighting.
What do we disagree on?
What we're disagreeing on is what
two retards fighting, except Hasan is a terrorist supporter.
You choose to focus on.
Does that seem significant?
What you think is the major point of contention here?
Well, that's first of all, what I choose to focus on is certainly something you can critique.
A little frivolous.
But does that justify like lying about me continually?
What?
Friend, not watching it.
2 hour?
All right, here we go.
For a sequence of out of context clips.
You want to do this? What's out of context?
Get ready, baby. Get ready, baby.
Okay.
Name one thing. Go ahead, read the chat. Someone will send you on Discord.
No.
No, he says as he's reading his chat for some talking points. No.
I have it readily available.
Well, I'll wait.
Hell yeah, dude.
One of the major points that you made that I've seen through other people's coverage of it so far is that I deny rapes happening on October 7.
True, he does.
Okay? That
True.
I deny rapes happening on October 7. There's a clip of you when you first encounter that statement where you are actually understanding of my position until your wife stops you and says, that's inappropriate.
Your wife, who I will not say by name.
You literally say, oh, he's saying the likelihood of rapes happening does not justify genocide, which you agree a genocide is happening.
Uncontested.
Ever since then, though, months later, you still chose
her
to
name
use
is Hila, by the way, Hasan. I don't know why you refer to her as my wife. I find that a little chauvinistic, frankly. You know who she is. You know her well. You begged for Teddy Fresh from her many times. So, like, yeah, you know who she is. You've written her emails asking for clothing. Her name is Hila.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so why don't you say that?
Okay.
Who goes, oh, your wife? Like, she's not. She has no. She's just like, oh.
I wasn't. Can you respond to what I was saying?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, because that's why I refer to Hasan as Diddy's friend instead of by his name. the Twitch terrorist supporter, you know.
With great pleasure, I will respond.
Why is it that you initially understood the full context until Gila stopped you and said, no.
I'll answer. Would you like me to answer? That's one example of many. Seeing your response in the totality of all the responses shows that you do deny the rapes that happened on October 7th. In fact,
which he does.
Totality of all my responses.
In fact, you had promised me, and I know you would never lie to me, that you would watch the context puke with me. So why don't we pull up that bit there, and we can see how out of context it is.
Uh-oh.
Boom. Do it.
Great.
Uh-oh.
Someone pulling that, Dan?
Uh-oh.
How you doing? I'm waiting for the link. You good?
Am I? Oh, yeah, I'm great. I don't think this is going the way you perceived it to be going, but
sure. I mean, you're reading your chat. Do you think that's the most accurate way?
I was gonna be.
The cope is off the charts. All right. By the way, in case you're curious, Hasan's upload of this debate is like blasted with dislikes.
I was thinking about being a lot more stern initially, but this has turned into the last conversation that we had where I am trying to gently nudge you in the direction of sanity.
Ethan,
by the way, he calls Ethan's wife a terrorist later in this debate. This is him just gently nudging him towards sanity.
You to really understand, you're crazy. You're crashing out. You're hallucinating, my friend. Come sit over here. You know what I mean?
The cope is crazy, man.
Ignore the swastika. Ignore the accusations of working with the ADL with no credibility. Ignore the tier list with fucking Ben Shapiro and Ethan. Come sit here. You're hallucinating. Oh, thank you so much for, you know what? Thank you, Hasan. That's so kind of you. How fucking genuine of you to take off the baby gloves. You fucking liar.
Got him.
I mean, this is...
You are a prolific liar, bro. Where's the...
This is the baby gloves. This is the baby gloves. Yeah, well, honestly, you're getting absolutely obliterated. It's insane. Now, in case you were curious, this is his the Hasan version of the upload, sitting pretty at 22,000 likes and 27,000 dislikes. Now the irony is most people didn't even watch it from him. His upload has 300,000 views. Ethan's upload has 1.4 million views. In case you were even more curious than that, Asmongold uploaded this and it has like 1 million views. Like, you don't understand. You do not understand, bro. Most of the people that watched it from Hasan are Hasan fans. And he got obliterated in the fucking dislike section.
Where's the link? Just control F for...
The reason, for the record, the reason why I don't like to bring Gila into the conversation is because I'm addressing my concerns with you, and I don't think that it's appropriate.
You literally say your wife, like you could call her by your name.
For me to, you know,
right, dude.
Extend the lens of criticism to other people. I mean,
that's a little silly considering you're like, well, actually, it was Ela who influenced your opinion, the evil IDF lady. Anyway.
Okay, while we're waiting for the clip.
No, I got it.
Deny the
violent rapes that took place. That is way beyond the pale.
You ready? You ready to see the most insane thing? He pulled it up. He pulled it up to show him the evidence. You ready?
There is
Do you see this? He leaves. This is the second time out of 2 that he showed him a clip and the man got up and walked away. Is this not insanity? Like, dude, thanks to Hasan Piker, the blue whale has the second largest vagina on the planet.
Instance in captivity.
He walked away.
Uh-oh, chair react.
Look at this. Can you believe this? This is insane.
We have...
I'm not going to let you chair react to me, buddy. You grab that Dr. Pepper. I'll wait.
No, I said I'm listening to
I'm listening while I'm wearing my propaganda scarf.
you. Don't worry. I was just grabbing another soda. Go ahead.
On the pale.
There is one. Did you instance in captivity? Put a Hamas headband on me?
I sure did.
There is one instance in captivity that we have actually gotten verifiable evidence on. Beyond that, the systematized mass rapes that Hamas dealt on October 7th.
By the way, Dr. Pepper is also, by the way, on the boycott divest list, by the way. In case you were curious, he's drinking Dr. Pepper right now, which is also on the boycott list. I just want you to know that. He is claiming that he's not drinking boycott shit, but he is anyway. Just in case, just wanted to make sure that this was clear. He is a soulless, money-hungry piece of shit driven by nothing but his boner.
Not a
Dr. Pepper is owned by Coke. Like, he is absolute. I'm just, to be clear, absolutely. Also, he refers to these people in captivity like they're fucking animals, even though they are, you know, Israeli civilians kidnapped by terrorists being starved and tortured and raped in fucking terrorist tunnels under Gaza. Which, by the way, even though Hasan, this is not brought up at any point in the debate, and that's why the one point specifically that I am upset about in regards to this debate is it's never made. Ethan doesn't attack Hamas at all. By the way, in case you were curious, you know that there are 300 miles of terrorist tunnels under Gaza. Now, you're probably wondering why I call them terrorist tunnels, even though they're used by terrorists. It's because the terrorists do not let the Palestinian population of Gaza enter the tunnels, which, by the way, would prevent them from getting killed in many airstrikes. No way! You mean they don't let the Palestinian people into fucking bomb shelters? That's correct. There is not one single public bomb shelter in all of Gaza. And do you know why? They won't say it, but I will. The reason why there are no public bomb shelters in Gaza is because Hamas terrorists want as many civilian casualties as possible so they can say, look how bad Israel is for killing these civilian casualties. It's the same reason why Hamas terrorists use fucking hospitals and nurseries and kindergartens to shoot their rockets from. So when Israel attacks back, they can say, look, Israel attacked a hospital. They use human shields. It's been proven, factually proven by everyone, but don't worry, Hasan still supports them for using their Palestinian meat shields. No one is worse to Palestinians than Hamas.
Single bit of that has been verified, and people still run with it over and over and over again.
Many young people who are simply attending a music festival, women were horribly raped.
I can't see myself, by the way, if you're showing my reaction.
You're giggling. You're giggling. It's so funny.
Has a right to defend
No, I'm
itself.
not giggling.
You sure are.
Bro, what rapes did Hamas do? What are you talking about?
What rapes did Hamas
Stop
do?
Anti-Semitism account that considered me to be anti-Semite of the week has also been hallucinating rapes once again, doing rape fantasies once again, because they're
Rape fantasies. That's how he's referring to horribly raped as opposed to how. Oh, I'll explain to you as opposed to how. When it says horribly raped, it means that the Hamas terrorists, you want me to get graphic for you? Because they didn't just rape them, they mutilated them. They raped and mutilated them. Do you want specific explanations? Do you want the graphic shit?
they're fucking mentally ill.
Hamas has committed...
That's something you go to a lot. You notice that? Call people mentally ill. Find that odd. Probably should revise that. I don't know if that's kosher for leftist values.
Horrific acts
I'm not exactly I'm not exactly doing a lot of stuff that's kosher for leftist values in general.
So you have no problem weaponizing mental health. I don't.
Yeah, when someone is hallucinating, I think it's appropriate to say that.
By your authority, I will decide who's hallucinating. Hasan.
Got him.
Men and girls.
Watch this.
Horrific acts of sexual violence.
Ethan.
Hasan, I am so sorry. You promised that we would watch this. I pulled it up. Now sit silently and enjoy.
Okay, but I got the point. You're saying that like you're showing clips of me. You're showing clips of me saying that someone is
men and boys.
Wait, what?
Slaughtered.
Look at him talking over this. He's like, "Can I just show you this 1 minute clip, please?" And he just keeps yapping so no one can hear it. It's like the most annoying possible way to engage with the point.
After enduring sexual violence, the deadliest day for the Jewish people.
Doesn't matter if fucking rapes happen on October 7th. Like, that doesn't change the dynamic for me even this much. So that's the other part of this problem that many people that can't contend with. Like,
I can't believe how quickly leftists go from believe all women to pics or it didn't happen.
Oh, another classic leftist W. Let's go.
Go, Hasan. What do you got?
pics or it didn't happen.
That's
great commentary, by the way.
That's exactly what he said.
Okay.
I mean,
so,
it's pretty apt.
Okay, so let's talk about it. You did actually I'm surprised you did actually show my findings on the UN committee report that came.
Oh, this is gonna be good. This is gonna be great. I'm gonna point something out to you that Ethan does not do in this debate, and I wish he would. Get ready.
The one that you misrepresent continually, that you fucking continually lie about the conclusion.
Report.
He does.
Wait, what did I misrepresent about the
UN
preliminary report?
Go ahead, you tell me. Tell me what it said.
The UN preliminary report was not an investigative report, like, for example, the investigative report that came out about Israel's systematized sexual assaults that was 49 pages long.
Horrible. What a horrible thing that was.
Yeah.
Unironically.
No, absolutely. Absolutely.
Just unacceptable.
The level of evidence in a preliminary report is only enough to actually create an actual investigation. The problem is Israel has denied an actual investigation to take place. Israel has told the United Nations that they are not allowed to do an actual investigation and to simply listen to what they have to say. Now, not only is Israel...
There are literally women who have said, I was raped.
Do you feel like the Israeli government lies?
Do you? I mean, all government.
This is the craziest shit in the world. Do you think the government might lie? Like, what are you even doing here? This is crazy. Oh my God.
It's a lie. I'm not going to defend Israel. Though.
I agree.
You said, there's
Israel
women that come out and said,
right?
I was raped.
What?
There are women on the record, on video, saying I was raped.
Like you're saying, you're saying there are.
Wait, what are you talking about? Also, I want to make this clear because Ethan doesn't specify this enough, and I'm just going to mention this right here because I think it's important to mention. Most of the women that were raped were killed, so a lot of them aren't coming forward because they raped them and murdered them. This is very clear. To be honest, it's very clear. Now, in the UN report, the findings were, and I'm going to tell this to you because Ethan does not bring this up. They found women that were bound and naked from the waist down with blood pouring out between their legs and executed. Now, according to Hasan, that's only circumstantial evidence. Okay? According to Hasan, that's circumstantial evidence. There's no proof that that woman was raped. The woman that was bound and shot in the head, naked from the waist down with blood between her legs. Hasan thinks that that's not enough evidence. That's only circumstantial. Now, in my opinion, if that's your perspective, you're a bad faith terrorist supporting retard. Okay.
Multiple women that are on the record saying I was raped.
Correct.
There is, as far as I understand,
one
instance
in
captivity.
As far as you understand, because you don't give a fuck about the reality,
directed by Hamas. What?
Well, of course, that's as far as you can conclude because you don't give a fuck about the truth. You just want to do propaganda, remember?
Ethan.
Hasan, please, calm down.
Okay.
You're getting worked up.
I don't know why you're behaving in such a childish manner when we are actually talking about finally some serious...
What does circumstantial evidence mean? It means that a rape kit was not done on the body, where they literally did a scientific test to make sure that something penetrated, because they decided to bury the victims without parading them around, because it was very obvious to any normal human being what happened. No one needed a rape kit to decide. So it's circumstantial evidence until a rape kit is done. So Hasan says pics or it didn't happen, essentially, saying that yes, finding a woman bound and tied and shot in the head, naked from the waist down with blood between her legs, according to Hasan, that is only circumstantial evidence because they decided to bury the body without doing an autopsy, which is retarded. There was a bullet in her head and there was blood between her legs, and what autopsy do you fucking need? She was murdered by a fucking terrorist. So anyway,
serious stuff. Okay?
Well, okay. In terms of the UN preliminary report and the findings.
All right.
Okay? There is a clear-cut lack of evidence.
All right, look at how bad faith he manipulates this UN report, because the UN report absolutely confirms that rape happened.
For any forensic examination to...
And I also want to make something else clear. I'll say this later.
...take place due to the incompetence of the Israeli government, and specifically the organization Zakah.
So Zakah is an organization run by, it's a Jewish organization that is meant to... that goes out and it buries bodies and it collects essentially the remains of people that were killed, and it tries to bury them in a respectful manner. That is what Zakah does. And I have nothing but respect for the Zaka volunteers, by the way. Now, Hasan hates these people. Well, Hasan loves these people, let's be real, because it prevents him from getting the evidence that he so badly and desperately needs. But to be clear, he is saying because of the organization that tried to bury bodies without parading their bodies around from lab to lab to get obviously known evidence, he says that it didn't happen.
That spent most of its time in the immediate aftermath of October 7, taking bodies out of body bags and putting them into Zakah branded body bags.
I love how he says most of the time. That is literally what Zakah is. Zakah is an organization that is meant to bury these people in dignified manners. There are also videos. Like, it's insane.
It's reported by Haaretz as well. They polluted the evidence pool. Okay.
All right. So, like, you really needed an evidence pool after there were women that were bound and shot in the head with blood between their legs, naked from the waist down. They found dozens of women like that. They had eyewitness testimony from dozens of people like that. There were terrorists that murdered and raped these people. And he's like, well, the organization that buried the bodies with dignity, they really botched the evidence pool. I guess that's the difference, because essentially he prefers when people make up shit. I guess Israel needs to have more human shields to get Hasan's sympathy.
That's number one. Number two, numerous people that came out and offered eyewitness testimony have since then been discredited, also according to Haaretz reporting.
Which article?
All right, ready?
Shit!
He's asking for evidence. Hasan's got nothing.
It's the Haaretz article that accuses.
In case you were curious, Haaretz is like the most left news organization in Israel. In case you were curious, they're like super CNN.
Victims of sexual assault of lying about it. Go ahead and.
All right, don't worry. I'm sure he'll provide evidence. He doesn't provide evidence.
Link me that one. And by the way, while you look for that,
no, not victims of sexual assault, Ethan. I'm using my words very carefully.
Right.
Not
he does that.
Sexual assault.
He does that.
Not victims of sexual assault. Eyewitness testimony initially provided that led people to believe that there were sexual assaults that were taking place.
Show me the source.
Were then discredited.
Show me the source. By the way, Hasan, while you look for that,
all right, get ready for the conclusion of the UN report.
Assuming that you're quoting the UN Representative Secretary General on Sexual Violence and Conflicts report, right? This is one everyone refers to. Now, are you aware how these kind of papers work? They do a very precise conclusion at the end that summarizes the main thesis and points driven home in the article. That's what the conclusion is. Let me read it for you. Overall, based on the totality of information gathered from multiple and independent sources at different locations, there are reasonable grounds to believe that conflict-related sexual violence occurred at several locations across the Gaza periphery, including in the form of rape, gang rape, during the October 7th, 2023 attack. Credible, circumstantial information which may be indicative of some forms of sexual violence, including genital mutilation.
Look at him nodding and bobbing his head at him reading about sexual mutilation.
Sexualized torture, cruel, inhuman, and degrading treatment was also gathered.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So I'm gonna walk you through this. Are they
hallucinating?
No. So you just don't know what words mean. So credible.
Get ready for him to somehow read. By the way, it's this that he just read. Watch him find a way to read that overall. It's credible. There are reasonable grounds to believe that sexual violence occurred, with the credible circumstantial information of sexualized torture and genital mutilation and inhuman degrading treatment. Watch him read that as rapes probably didn't happen.
Circumstantial evidence. Do you know what that means?
It means that there's
yes.
Of course.
Yes. Yeah.
Credible circumstantial evidence is not a substitute for forensic evidence.
He's a retard. He's a complete retard. If you make this point, you're a complete and utter retard. How the fuck are you able to talk about such a thing like this? How could you say that? How could you say that? Credible circumstantial evidence. Like, by the way, just to paint the picture. Yeah, these fucking... Dude, from the same UN report, because Hasan makes believe he knows how to read, all right? This is the same UN report, in case you were curious, all right? All right, the mission team received credible information about bodies found naked or tied, in one case gagged, and some of the kibbutz's destroyed houses and their surroundings. While verification of sexual violence against these victims was not possible because they either buried them or burnt them after murdering them, circumstantial evidence, notably, all right, this is evidence, circumstantial, the pattern, all right, pattern. Remember the word pattern, because he claims that there was no pattern of female victims found undressed and bound. It may be indicative of some forms of sexual violence. All right, so the pattern of naked, tied Israeli women that were shot and killed naked for some reason. I don't know why they were all naked. Why were they naked? Why do you think they were all naked, Hasan? Why do you think they were all naked? Huh? Why do you think? Like, it's what are you fucking talking about? You think the Hamas terrorists came in, they murdered the fucking civilians, they undressed all the women, and then they left? What are you even talking about? How retarded do you have to be? This is the most obvious thing in the universe. And he's saying that because it's circumstantial and not forensic, it probably didn't happen. Like, this is the most bad faith thing in the history of the world. And the worst part is, Ethan doesn't stress this point enough. And unfortunately, I think the people that are reacting to like this debate don't know how bad it is.
That's why I said Pixar didn't happen, bro. You need rape kits.
Prosecute.
Hasan needs rape kits.
Circumstantial evidence is not enough.
Pixar didn't happen, right?
Prosecute rape, which is precisely the reason why.
Prosecute rape? They're terrorists. Hopefully, all the Hamas people that did this shit are dead now. What do you mean prosecute? You think they're gonna sue the Hamas terrorists? Like, what are you talking about?
Israeli prosecutors themselves have said that in the absence of a singular victim coming out, and also with all of the forensic evidence that has been tarnished already.
Dude, it's crazy.
Show me evidence for anything you're saying.
And he's just yapping and he's saying, and there's a lack of evidence, and there is. He's just a propagandist. He is literally spewing straight lies, and the UN report that he is quoting straight up says it's not true. All right? He is saying that because there isn't forensic evidence, he can't say anything, which is the most retarded thing in the world if you actually read the UN report, which I did, which Hasan probably didn't do.
What? It's not. Show me evidence for anything you're claiming that isn't some unhinged freak on Twitter. Believe all women, hey? Hey, are we believing all women unless they're Israeli? Right after October 7th Hamas attack in Israel, Zaka, the disaster victim identification volunteers, were among the first civilians responding on the scene. Zaka is an Israeli rescue and recovery organization primarily staffed by ultra-Orthodox Jewish volunteers, known for their work in collecting human remains for proper burial according to Jewish law. I think what happened is, a lot of what happened is that obviously you don't rape someone and then keep them alive, right? So most of them were murdered, and a lot of the...
Yeah, so he's upset, so Hasan is upset that the women that were raped didn't come forward, even though they were raped and also murdered. It's like, how do you even talk to a man this high on propaganda? Like, leftist talking point, believe all women, no women came forward because they were murdered, but they didn't come forward, so let's not believe them. Like, what do you even do here?
The forensic evidence.
I'm sending Dan the PBS article about how two debunked accounts of sexual violence on October 7th fueled a global dispute over Israel-Hamas war. This is from May 22nd, 2022. This is about the
Wait, whoa. No way he said that.
Over Israel-Hamas war. This is from May 22nd, 2022.
I didn't even catch this on my first one. 2022 was before the war. The war started in October 2023. Oh my God, what are we even gonna do with this guy? Like, what are we gonna do with this guy? This is insanity. Oh my God, I didn't even catch that the first time I watched this. Dude, you don't just need the fucking retard detector, you need the retard alarm. Yeah, dude, literally, wild retard appeared for real. Like, what do you even do with this? Oh my God.
This is about the witness test.
Anyway, they go through like this whole argument back and forth. I could show it all to you essentially, if you want. But the main next part that I really wanted to show you is over here at 1:43:30, where after Hasan claims that no women came forward to say that they were raped, which is it's a retarded statement on its own, because aside from all the evidence in the UN report, there also were women that came forward. But anywho,
I think there was an even more recent one than this, but where's the audio? Fuck. Hold on, let me unmute.
Unable to move and had to ask for permission to use the bathroom. In that house, I was sexually assaulted by the Hamas terrorist who had guarded me. He forced me to go to the shower and entered the room, pointed his gun at me. He was breathing heavily and had a monstrous beast-like face.
I don't know. This kind of sounds like someone came forward, doesn't it, Hamas Piker?
He meticulously planned his assault, scheming and waiting for the moment to have his way. He kept asking me private sexual questions while sitting next to me in his underwear, lifting my shirt, touching me, and constantly asking me when my period would be over.
Sorry, just to butt in here. Are she lying yet or no? Is she lying or hallucinating?
Ethan, have I ever said that rapes did not take place?
Well,
at least according to one credit.
He laughs about it, everyone. He says he laughs about it every time it's brought up. Try not to revisionist your history, my guy.
Personal testimony in captivity, not on
in captivity.
October 7th, but in captivity.
He's retarded. The UN report was about things on October 7th, but anyway.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, actually, yeah, yes. He has been doing that. Yeah.
Over.
You're doing it right now.
What do you mean?
I know exactly what he was planning to do.
You literally.
Now watch him talk over so that you can't hear her testimony.
Couldn't do anything to prevent.
Wait, pause it for a second.
No, listen to what she has to say, Hassan.
Ethan,
Hassan, don't silence her. Let her fucking talk.
Wasn't even allowed.
No, because you're acting like this never happened, that it's exaggerated, that everybody's lying, that Israelis are just inherently evil monsters that are responsible for everything bad that's ever happened. Listen to her.
Cry,
Ethan,
or to be sad.
Listen to her words.
I had no one to comfort me and was forced to act nice to the person who had just sexually
Listen to this victim. Show her some respect.
He says that there are no instances where a woman come forward. He plays the clip of the woman coming forward. He says, listen to her words. And his response is, listen to my words. This comes off really well.
Horrifying way.
Oh, it's so gross.
Not a
the way
day
you're
goes
doing
by
this.
that I don't think about.
So gross that Ethan is trying to pull at people's heartstrings with a story of a woman talking about how she got raped by a terrorist that Hassan vehemently denies happened.
About what that terrible man did to me.
It is.
We were held in such
show respect,
brother. That is fucking gross.
No person should ever be subjected to
pull the
such brutal
fucking plug on this. Holy shit.
Now,
you really have no problem speaking over a rape victim when they're Israeli.
Dude, you don't give a fuck about rape. Look, what are you doing? Look at what you're doing.
What?
I never said that no one ever got sexually assaulted in
First
captivity.
Male rapes
in captivity. Notice how he keeps saying in captivity it's okay. I don't know why he keeps making it sound like in captivity it's better. First of all, I just want to make this clear. It didn't happen. It did not happen. That there was no proof of evidence of rape on October 7th, okay? The UN report makes it very clear that a lot of fucking mass rapes happened on October 7th. And personally, another reason why I think it happened is because essentially in their doctrine, they say that that it's acceptable to do. I'll pull that up.
Survivor of Hamas on October 7th.
I literally said in the video,
a man who was stripped naked and raped by Hamas on October 7th has revealed for the first time how he was spat on and humiliated as his murderous rapist laughed. The victim, only identified as Initial D, is the first man to speak about the sexual assault he and others experienced when Hamas elite, the Nakba unit, massacred, kidnapped, and raped innocent people enjoying the Supernova music festival. They pin you down to the ground. You try to resist. They take off your clothes, laugh at you, humiliate you, spit on you. Said the victim, who's hold on.
Okay, listen to me. Listen to my words.
They touch my private parts. They rape you.
You're not going through this in a dignified way, and I think it's very gross. What you're doing here is simply weaponize.
It's so gross of Ethan to weaponize rape victims when Hassan denies they were raped.
A victim
you are so pathetic.
As a fucking prop. A victim that I also acknowledged.
Silence.
And you know I acknowledged it because you posted it in your video that you just showed me.
Here's the clip.
Reveals that sexual assault and rape was a regular component of the life as a hostage in Gaza.
All right, that's another one.
Matter if fucking rapes happened on October 7th.
Hassan, maybe you would like to call her a liar. Please go right ahead.
You're doing it matter if fucking rapes happened on October 7th.
There are dozens of testimonies from witnesses, most of who were in hiding and heard. Oh yeah.
Ethan,
are you denying that?
You said in the beginning, I'm going to use my words very carefully here. In the beginning, you said on October 7th, there were numerous victims of sexual violence.
He's right. There were. Absolutely. That's what the UN report said when they found dozens of women's bodies bound and tied and shot in the head, naked from the waist down and blood between their legs. Yep. That's rape, okay? I don't know where Hasan was brought up. Maybe things are different where the way he was raised, but yeah, that's rape. Yeah, that's pretty fucking bad for sure. 100%. Yeah.
That you said, not me, you said that there were numerous victims of sexual violence that actually came forward. So
came forward. Notice how he's using his words carefully, because the women that were raped and then murdered, they don't count according to Hasan. You see, Hasan is progressive that way. He believes the women that are alive enough to come forward.
Ask you.
Yeah, this is why Asmongold likes the How Fucked is Hasan Piker franchise, because I speak retard.
For names of the numerous victims of sexual violence on October 7th. Because
wait, hold on.
Said that
you're
there
saying
was
only
no sexual assault that took place.
Wait, you're saying they have to have been on
October. That report. I looked at that same
He looked at it. He didn't read it, but he did look at it.
UN report and said that there was valid, credible, first-hand testimony on sexual assault.
I wish you had the energy you have.
That was not on October
for
7th.
The Israelis raping people. I wish you had the same energy for the fucking Palestinian terrorists raping people. I wish you had the same energy.
Because I can't invent rapes. You have not given me any names. What are you talking about?
This is crazy. Like, this is insane. He's a fucking retard.
People and names. What do you mean?
What do you mean? What's with my people and names? I don't understand.
Of the victim.
If there are
just
victims,
because you need your heroes.
Right,
you know what? This is not going anywhere. Let's just move on. Yeah, let's just.
Guess if they move on, guys. Guess if they move on. Well, the good news is, in about a minute from here, I'll just skip to about a minute from here. Don't worry, you don't have to listen to all of Hasan's blathering. About a minute from here, Hasan decides to deny more rape.
Very carefully and very deliberately.
All right, so he's using his words carefully.
That mass rapes that are directed by Hamas did not happen. There was no.
All right, so the many women's bodies bound naked from the waist down, blood between their legs, shot in the head, that did not happen, according to Hasan, even though the UN said it happened, and everyone knows that it happened because the Hamas terrorists literally recorded them doing that. So anyway, it's just another Hasan W. In my opinion, it was a little weak of Ethan not to push more on this point, instead focusing on like testimonies. I think that testimonies are obviously powerful, and I think they're all true. In this instance, where the terrorists that literally themselves say you can rape your captives, rape their captives, I do think that in regards to the UN report, a lot more emphasis should be on the fact that they literally have page after page after page of describing genital mutilation of women who were like, I can't even describe it. It's so mind-blowing, the shit that I've seen. Like, personally, like, it hurts so badly. But anyway, I'm sure Hasan knows they got raped. He just knows it doesn't fit his narrative, so he's pushing. It's crazy. It's crazy to see people jumping through hoops to support terrorists. It's insane.
No evidence for this whatsoever.
4 survivors told authorities.
He says whatsoever. There's no evidence whatsoever. After a gigantic UN report documenting how it fucking happened with every bit of circumstantial evidence in the fucking world without a rape kit. Like, this is insane. This is crazy. It's insanity that that people let this shit go on. And he's only willing to talk to Ethan because Ethan, first of all, came at him for months, and because Ethan is also a pro-Palestine guy. I would love to see him talk to anyone even remotely pro-Israel. He would get obliterated. He would actually get annihilated. I've never even seen him in a discussion with that. If anyone of you could link me since October 7th, 2023, a single discussion he has had with anyone pro-Israel, I will pay you for it, because I don't think he's had one. I don't think he's had one. And I'm not even talking about like super pro-Israel. I just mean moderately pro-Israel. He hasn't talked to a single one of them. You have to realize the nuance of the debate he's having with Ethan right now is essentially they're both pro-Palestine. They're both anti-Israel, but Hasan also supports the rapist, pedophile terrorists. That's the only difference. Is that not insanity? Oh my God. Anyway, moving on to the next fun point over here. At 2:04:39, he essentially says that all of Israel is like Nazi Germany.
Yeah. Don't you feel like you going to Israel proper would actually resemble someone going to, someone going near Auschwitz and being like,
so Auschwitz is the largest concentration camp that the Nazis had to murder Jews. In case you were unaware with that historical fact, I want you to hear that statement one more time.
like you going to Israel proper.
You got to hear that one more time.
Body of Israel.
Yeah. Don't you feel like you going to Israel proper would actually resemble someone going to, you know, someone going near Auschwitz and being like, well, it's actually beautiful there. It's
Not at all.
that big of a deal.
This is the most fucking unhinged thing I've ever heard in my entire life. I don't remember when the Jews decided to fucking murder 1,300 Germans and take their hostages and rape their women. I don't remember when the Jews did that to the Germans to piss them off and start the Holocaust. Also, by the way, in case you're unaware, according to new reports, about 73% of the people killed in Gaza were actually combat-aged men. That is not the case in Nazi Germany. In fact, I don't even know why I'm having this discussion. The Holocaust is literally nothing even remotely comparable to what's going on in Gaza. Not even remotely comparable. The Nazis did everything in their power to kill every single Jew. Israel, if they wanted to, they could have wiped out Gaza by now. Obviously, they don't want to do that. They want to wipe out the Hamas terrorists. Like, this is the most unbelievable, insanely unhinged comparison of all time. Of all time. But anywho, it's a classic Hassanism. You gotta love it. But don't worry, because he wasn't clear enough when he said that going to Israel is like going near Auschwitz in Nazi Germany. Just give him another minute, and about a minute from here is essentially where he says that all Jews are Nazis.
Close enough that you can see it. If you go to Siderot, you can watch it.
The point you're making is that everybody living in Israel is living next to a concentration camp.
Yes.
He just says it, man. What are you gonna do, bro? What are you gonna do? I guess Hamas shouldn't have started a war, right? I mean, true, good point. Like, oh, this is insanity.
So I said, bro, really said.
Yeah, insane. Anyway, moving on. This is fun. If you go to 2:11:08, according to my notes. See, aren't you happy that I'm doing it like this instead of with all of his fucking blathering? So this is where he calls Ethan Zionist, stuff like that.
You're Jewish, but because of what you're saying, they
what did
heard
I
your
say that's
output,
Zionist?
and they made these
What have I
inferences
ever
off
said
of your
that
output.
shows that I'm Zionist?
Ethan, the way that you have tackled the subject matter.
Say one thing that has shown the world, undoubtedly, how Zionist I am. That I am worthy of the scorn of you and the entire left.
How wrong that was. What you just said.
Okay,
so
does that mean I'm a
example.
Zionist? I mean, and by the way, that was a recent clip. That doesn't explain the last 2 years.
Yes, it doesn't.
So
and
what did I say in the last 2 years besides that clip?
As well.
What did I say?
His evidence, there's plenty there.
Hey, Hasan, what did I say that's Zionist?
As recently as last month.
You can't give me one fucking contextual example of me saying something that's Zionist after this entire... Go ahead.
Yeah, okay.
All right, you ready? Ready?
You have something?
I have many things.
Many things.
As recently as last month.
He bro cannot say anything. He's nothing. He has nothing.
As recently as last month.
List one example of me saying something
I'm giving you another
Zionist.
example. Just calm down.
Calm down, Ethan.
As recently
You're
as
not
last
answering
month,
my question. You're just doing this kish galloping.
Hamas is actually putting... Hamas is...
All right, ready? You ready for the example? I hope you're ready.
Is actually putting hostages inside of hospitals. Hamas is actually using tunnel systems under hospitals. And that is part of the reason why Israel is bombing hospitals. Okay, bombing hospitals is a war crime.
Yeah, you're right. Bombing hospitals is a war crime. You know, unless the terrorists make hospitals specifically their strongholds to shoot missiles from them specifically, which is, by the way, also a war crime.
In your conversation with Sam Cedar.
Yeah, so anyway, he keeps yapping about how Ethan's a Zionist because Ethan said something objectively true, which is the fact that the Hamas use human shields and literally put their missile launchers in hospitals, which is undeniably a factual statement because they're terrorist monsters and they should be wiped out. Hell yeah. In fact, people even in Jordan and Lebanon, they are arresting Hamas sympathizers because they're terrorists. I don't know if you know that, but this is something that's recently been going on. Even in Jordan and Lebanon, who, by the way, do not really love Israel. Just wanted to say that. So anyway, moving on, at exactly 2 hours, 24 minutes, and 4 seconds into this colossal debate, Ethan asks Hasan the question, are you pro-terrorist?
With Hezbollah makes people think you're pro-terrorist?
I don't care that people think this.
He does not care that people think he's pro-terrorist. By the way, I just want to make this clear. This is a direct endorsement from Hamas Piker to keep calling him pro-terrorist. He does not care it happens, so therefore, it is not slander, even if it's untrue. Which it is true. But even if it's not true, it's not slander because he doesn't care. Thank you for the green flag, Hamas Diddy Bin Laden Piker, truly giving me all the content I could have ever wanted.
It's ridiculous.
So are people valid for thinking you're pro-terrorist?
Do you believe the state?
Good question.
Do you believe the State Department?
Answer the question, you fucking retard.
Sir,
designation for
answer the
terrorism is
question.
valid.
Is it reasonable for people to think that you are pro-terrorist when you say I have no problem with Hezbollah?
Do you believe the State
answer the
Department's
question.
designation
You
for
gotta answer that
terrorism
one.
is valid?
You answer my question, and I'll answer yours. Are people valid?
Ethan,
and
you
considering
rely heavily on
Can you
your
answer?
audience not really
crazy.
understanding.
Please
the
answer.
Our audience doesn't understand, he says when he blatantly misreads a UN report.
My
terms that
question.
you are using.
Let it be
okay?
noted, you are dodging.
When you say, "Oh, Hasan defends terrorists,"
Look at this.
okay,
Literally
This
just
is
did.
awesome,
why
bro.
You say that.
He's doing it
You
the whole
say that
time.
to
You literally just
disparage
did.
me
True.
without actually addressing my arguments. And now, when you're faced with me, face to face,
God,
to
bro,
talk
you're
about
doing it
these
again.
issues, you agree with me. So if you agree with me,
He doesn't agree with you that you support terrorists.
you called Hezbollah a noble group. Should I?
He never did that, by the way. He said that Hezbollah started with noble goals, which is not the same thing, but this is just classic Hasan lie.
In the
just run
beginning,
around
shit
being like Ethan
changed.
defends terrorism. I think you do, but
I
for a
said their
different reason,
actions
and we'll
were
get to
noble.
that in
I
a
didn't call
second.
them a noble group. Again, you have a problem with the truth.
True. It's a bit of an issue with Hamas Piker. He's a propagandist. He's not used to actually debating anyone that disagrees with him. He's used to just hanging out with people that glaze him. So you can't really blame him for freaking out when he gets pressed on his lies.
Who just said that their
I said their
inception
actions
was
were
a
noble.
noble one.
Yeah.
You said Hezbollah was.
It's different from saying Hezbollah is a noble organization. But I really need you to
After
answer.
this, I see why Hasan is afraid of Nux. Hasan looks bad here. Nux would dumpster Hasan in a debate. Yeah, for sure. I would be down to debate Hasan anytime. But as I told you, Hasan didn't debate anyone since October 7th, aside from Ethan and Willie Mac Show, who's a drama YouTuber guy. He will never debate anyone that knows anything about Israel. He won't, obviously, because he would get absolutely obliterated. Yes, I am Blue Voldemort on his stream. He will never mention me by name. He will, even when he brings me up. Even when he pulls me up, even when I showed up on his stream as a jump scare, he's like, I don't really know who he is, but he's a pedophile and he has a psychosexual relationship to me.
Answer this. Isn't it reasonable for people to assume you're pro-terrorist if you say stuff like, I have no problem with Hezbollah? Just answer the question. Yes or no?
It's a good question.
I don't think it's reasonable for people to assume that I'm pro-terrorism because I think people are going to assume that regardless.
Of course I assume that. He supports terrorists. He just spent the last, hour fucking defending Hamas rapists.
But people can assume I'm
presenting a
Zionist.
position-
But it's okay for
What?
it's okay for people to assume I'm Zionist.
Yes.
Got
Because,
it. The logic is
you don't
clear.
understand what-
So you could assume Ethan is pro-Zionist because Ethan doesn't like terrorists, but you can't assume Hasan is pro-terrorist even though he supports terrorists. Love that. Hell yeah.
I'm saying I get why people assume that. I get why people assume
you're
I'm
you're pro-terrorist.
Yeah.
True.
Do you feel? Okay, let's talk about that then. Do you feel like someone being branded pro-terrorist is as impactful under the Trump administration as someone being
branded. He's so scared of being branded as pro-terrorist. He likes to be pro-terrorist in secret. He doesn't like to be pro-terrorist when he's branded that way. What a fucking cringe loser bitch.
Israel is?
Well,
I sure hope it's dangerous to be branded a terrorist under the Trump administration. That's, by the way, one of the things that Trump is doing really fucking well. Hell yeah. Shout out to my orange man out there. Trying to strike fear in the hearts of terrorist shitlords.
as someone who's been branded as a pro-Israel Zionist in my space, it is a horrifically fucking it's resulted in the unbelievable, unprecedented. I've been on the internet for 10 years, right? I've been through all kinds of controversies, all kinds of shit. I have never once in my entire life, Hasan, experienced the amount of harassment, the organized, psychotic campaign to try to ruin my life, all of my employees' life, my family's life, their family's life. This is your community acting in response to what you're saying about me being pro-Zionist. So do I think it's worse in my experience?
Do you have any evidence that it's my community? Even though his entire chat was literally spamming with Ethan is a bloodthirsty Zionist pig dog. Do you have any evidence that my community is harassing you? What a fucking loser. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
It's much worse. My community that's done any of these things that you're talking about.
Okay, Hasan, can I ask you a question?
Bro, dude, I am much smaller than Ethan Klein on YouTube. I get harassed from Hasan's community. I get tons of fucking hate mails and death threats and shit all the time from Hasan's community. I don't know why. Like, this is... And I don't get nearly as many as Ethan. Not even close. Like, this is insane.
Why the fuck were you browsing H3 Snark the other day and pulling clips from that?
Awkward.
I don't
Anyway.
know. Someone fucking sent me a clip.
Oh, anyway, moving on to the next thing, because this is like a kind of a irrelevant point. I just wanted to show you this next thing. It's not super important, but it is like an obvious Hasan lie and hypocrisy, so I thought it was funny.
That would you? Well, why did you criticize XQC for not moderating his chat when you?
All right, so context. Hasan's chat has been harassing Ethan. Ethan asked Hasan why he doesn't moderate his chat, and Hasan says, "You think I can moderate my chat, bro? I have so many people in there." But then XQC's chat starts harassing Hasan, and Hasan is like, "I can't believe XQC's not moderating his chat."
Called in. Ethan, why did you criticize XQC for not moderating his chat?
Good point.
Yes, XQC has actively used his community over the course of many years at this point, as he was, doing gamba and wanted to fucking keep gambling and felt bad that I was criticizing him to attack me. Okay,
oh,
there's a difference.
They attacked him. Oh no, they attacked him, guys. This is so sorry. This is so sad. In case you're curious, if you type the word Nux in Hasan's chat, it gets auto-banned. I just want to make this clear, all right? This dude knows very well how to moderate his chat. He just doesn't moderate it when it comes to all the terrorists. In fact, New York Times recently did an article on Hasan, and I covered this in Hasan is 410% cooked. New York Times recently did a article about Hasan, in case you're curious. And in that article, in the background of Hasan on his computer, you saw words in his chat saying the most unhinged shit. And they cropped out his chat after getting called out for it. Do you understand how insane this is?
It's different than what your community has done. How?
What?
How is that different than your community attacking me?
You want to know how it's different? I have an 8-minute clip compilation all the way from when our podcast ended all the way to December of 2024 where I actively defend you.
Wow, an 8-minute compilation after thousands of hours of shitting on him saying, "Don't harass him, boys." Good argument. That'll work. He says all Zionists are Nazis, and then he says Ethan Klein is a Zionist. And then he's like, "Don't harass him, guys." Yeah, great defense. It works. So anyway, moving on to the next psychopath. Here at 2 hours, 38 minutes, and 50 seconds, we have a glorious, glorious moment. Introducing the next character, Bad Empanada. This is apparently a psychopath on YouTube that makes like crazy videos, harassing and doxing people and stuff. Also known for saying that we should have a lot more 9/11s and 9/11 was based and valid and, basically supporting all forms of hurting Americans because Americans are imperialists and shit like that. So Bad Empanada made a lot of hit piece videos on Ethan and on Hasan. In fact, Hasan has called Bad Empanada repeatedly a psychopath that he never wants to react to, but he will react to him when he goes after Jews.
You lied to me and said you don't watch his videos because he asked you not to. Magically, when he started talking about me, you became his biggest fan, and you watch his videos on your stream regularly, which has resulted in an explosion of his popularity. Here's what you said about him a year before this conflict.
on a video on
Nice
this
shirt,
stream.
by the way.
I'm just letting you guys know. If you think I'm gonna fucking watch a YouTube essay from a dude literally openly antagonistic towards me watching fucking YouTube videos, you're out of your fucking mind, okay? You think I want him to write like 700 hours worth of new YouTube essays about how I have wronged him? I don't want that. I don't want that at all, okay?
Day genocide propaganda will come. Thanks for watching.
That's in the clip,
Free
Ethan. You
Palestine.
Look at that. Look at that. First he says, you think I'm going to react to this absolute complete freak? And then he decides to just react to the absolute complete freak all the time when it, you know, comes in handy.
keep doing this thing.
Bro has zero morals. Like, unbelievable zero morals.
Playing the clip.
Yeah, go support
Dude,
this.
I'm playing the clip. Just chill out.
I said it. I told you why I wasn't
appreciate,
watching that
regardless of
Empanada
all
video.
Look at him talking over the clip so that you can't hear it. It's unbelievable.
God,
Disagreements
Hasan,
with him
you're talking over the
on
clip.
his-
You need to let it
I don't-
play, okay? You're making the clip unwatchable.
That's
Mine.
That's the
okay?
plan.
You think I want him to write?
Bro, it's just a minute long. You can chill for a minute.
Will come. Thanks for watching. Free Palestine. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, go support this.
This is
dipshit that.
Yeah, so anyway, so first Hasan says, I will never react to him. He's a complete psychopath. He doxes people and swats people and harasses people and whatever else Hasan said that he does. And then Hasan decides to react to all of his videos, and he's like, go support him, and he basically blows up his entire YouTube channel and career. Absolute zero morals for the terrorist supporter. I don't know what anyone expected. This is not like a major point, so I'm just going to move on a little faster. I wanted to move on to something very cool and epic, where Hasan argues for like an hour about how he was clipped out of context, and then proceeds to prove that he was not at all actually clipped out of context.
not,
So,
by
let
the
me
way,
explain to you
being
something.
pro-Palestine
Why
means
did I
you are
have-
infallible
why
and
did
can
I
never
have
be
all the
criticized. That's
information?
awesome logic.
Yeah, that's the classic Hasan argument. You can't criticize Hasan because his morals are just so good.
I have
Talk
all
about the content
information that
nuke,
I actually
Hasan.
responded to.
Hasan, you want to talk about the content nuke? Can you name one clip that was out of context? You call it the context puke. Name one clip that was taken out of context. Go ahead.
Watch my video and you'll find out.
Name one.
Watch my video.
He has no video. That's the joke.
Go ahead. It's about me.
No, I'm kidding. I'll show you. Okay. So one of the best examples that we were initially going to get to, and then we went on a long drawn out sequence over
What's out of
sexual
context?
assaults, is that one of the clips that you used, one of the clips that you used
Right.
in your context nuke
Right.
was the claim that I deny rapes happen. It was
Which has just been proven true. Oh my God, he's such a clown.
I showed evidence.
it
That wasn't
was
out of
from
context.
a-
That
That
was
wasn't even out of context. That was just true.
an opinion.
at the time.
So yeah, so then he keeps yapping about how no, he still denies the rape happened, so it is out of context because he still denies the rapes that happened. You know, classic terrorist moment. Anyway, moving on to the next thing. Hasan has this, there's an entire compilation about Hasan that I have previously shown on my How Fucked is Hasan Piker franchise, worldly beloved. Everyone loves this franchise. It's true. Everyone likes it. So there is this, this compilation of Hasan calling Jews inbred. Which, according to any Twitch terms of service, he should be banned. However, he's Hasan and he supports terrorists, which makes him cool. So anyway, lock in. This is him covering the Jews Are Inbred compilation.
I use inbred as a wait, what?
Because I have
going
that.
on?
Because I knew
asked me
you were
for-
going to do this, and I have the clip pulled. Let's play it, and then you
Okay,
can.
play it. The Jew psychopaths that these inbred don't understand. Educated, inbred, fundamentalist hicks.
Calling us in the middle of campus, calling us inbred, that we have no culture. One of them grabbed my friend's Israeli flag in the middle of campus,
Hilarious.
carried it to a mob by the gate that were communicating with the angry mobs outside of campus.
Oh, that's untrained inbred asses shipped into southern Lebanon, telling us that we are all inbred and that we have no culture.
You want to
Good
gotta
stuff.
watch
see
this clip
clips?
too.
Inbred, inbred.
Good stuff. Yeah.
Inbred.
The clips are, and that's not necessarily the algorithm.
Okay, so yeah, go ahead and defend.
All right, time for Hasan's defense. There's no way you could possibly defend a compilation like this, am I right, guys? Especially if you're a progressive leftoid, huh?
Your continual use of the word inbred to describe Jewish people.
All right, get ready, guys.
Wait, do you think I'm describing all Jewish people as inbred? Is that what your assessment is here?
I mean, he basically described every walk of life of Jews imaginable as inbred. All right, you probably don't recognize this if you're not Jewish, because you're not Jewish, so you wouldn't necessarily recognize the fact that he literally said this about every possible type of Jew ever. Especially if they're religious. If they're religious, they're extra inbred, according to Hasan.
Microaggressions, my friend. We're pretending they don't exist. You can
Shut up, dude. Come
you can
on.
Shut up, dude.
continually refer to
Shut up, dude. You're so gay and lame, dude.
Jewish people as
You
inbred.
are such a pussy. Oh my god. Yeah, dude.
I mean,
of course I'm
about-
calling the fucking Kahanist Jewish supremacist settlers inbred.
Yeah, all right. So that's his defense. He only calls Kahanist Jewish supremacists inbred. All right, not all Jews, just the Kahanist Jewish supremacists. So I decided, let's actually look at this, because Ethan doesn't do this properly. These are people at an Ivy League school in America. These are not Kahanist Jewish supremacists, okay? These are students at a university that were harassed by pro-Palestine protesters. All right, what are you talking about? All right, if you want to keep going.
Inbred, that we have no culture. One of them grabbed my friend's Israeli flag in the middle of campus, carried it to a mob by the gate that were communicating with the...
Yeah, so this is him laughing at two Jews that were harassed on a college campus, you know, classic Hasan moment. All right, this is just some random pro-Israel rally. These are not Kahanist Jews, in case you were curious. In case you were, I'm sure you were.
Settlers, inbred fucking douchebag.
All right, let me see.
These inbred.
All right, I don't know, man. They're carrying boxes. They must be inbred.
Fucking douchebags. And
no information on these guys.
background, dude. A nation entirely comprised of messianic.
I wanted to make that clear. He says that it's a nation comprised of inbred people. Tell me how you are possibly going to describe that as specifically Kahanic Jews. He said a nation of them, all right? Last I checked, there's only one nation. It's the Jewish nation. If you're calling the Jewish nation inbred, then it kind of implies Jews.
Inbred. Ultra-Orthodox psychopaths. These
Yeah, so anyway, it's good stuff. It's your classic Hasan moment. It makes believe he's talking about something else. He's really not talking about something else at all, actually. There was another example that I wanted to bring up, but I can't find it currently in the clip compilation that he's trying to...
Inbred, fundamentalist hicks.
Calling us in the middle...
Yeah, I can't find the other clip. There was a clip where he basically said, like, the chief rabbi...
This guy you can imagine, okay? Every week there was another fucking...
All right, whatever. I can't find the clip. But you get the idea. The point is, obviously, he tries to defend it. He's only talking about the Kahanic Messianic Jews. But that is so obviously not true. Like, it's just another blatant lie. There's absolutely nothing you could possibly say. Let's move on to the Houthis, okay? We've all been waiting for this. For Monkey D. Houthi, it's time for him to shine. All right, at exactly 3 hours, 5 minutes, and 40 seconds, Hasan defends Houthi terrorists. Houthis are designated as a terrorist organization by the United States, of course. They bombed American ships. And this is important to mention because Hasan says he supports them. 10 toes on the ground, he supports the Houthis. This is a very fun segment, so I really feel like we should give it the love it deserves.
You said that the Houthi Luffy was not a pirate.
Right.
He's not.
Or I'm sorry, not Houthi affiliated.
He is. He is a pirate.
He's not. But even if he was, I wouldn't care. I hope you...
All right, okay. So this guy spent 6 months claiming that the Houthi terrorist he interviewed was not actually a terrorist, but now he's justifying it, saying that even if he was a terrorist, he still would have done the same thing. I want this to be very clear, and I want this to be unprecedentedly clear. He straight up admits this shit.
You understand that?
Because that's rewriting history.
I'm gonna say this very clearly
No, it's not that
to
you cared. It's that
I'm gonna
you
say this
fucking
very
glazed
clearly
them up.
to you right now. 10 toes down. Are you ready for this?
Go ahead.
I believe what the Houthis are doing in terms of stopping Israel doing a genocide.
All right, let's just make this clear here. I want to make something very clear because Hasan makes it sound like the Houthis are successful. The Houthis, all they do is terrorize civilians. I want to make this very clear. Houthis shoot missiles at ships, American ships, by the way. American ship, which is why America's bombing the Houthis, because they're bombing American ships. You bomb American ships, America bombs you back, as they should. Realistically, this is life. You don't let people get away with bombing your shit, or they're going to keep doing it, which is why Israel should be wiping out Hamas, because, you know, otherwise Hamas is going to do another October 7th, which would be fucking awful. So you kill the terrorists. I mean, this is basic life. So, you know, Houthis bombing American ships. Don't touch our fucking ships. So I want to make something clear. the Houthis are shooting missiles daily into Israeli cities where Israeli civilians live. Thank God, I don't think the Houthis killed almost anybody because Israelis' defenses are good. Thank God. And also, want to make this clear, Israel actually has bomb cell shelters for civilians, unlike Gaza. Because believe it or not, Israel is trying their hardest to not have human shields, unlike the Hamas terrorists in Gaza. So him saying that he's supporting the Houthis is retarded, because the Houthis aren't actually succeeding in doing anything aside from terrorizing civilians and bombing American ships. That is literally the only thing that they're actually doing. The Houthis are not successful in literally anything. So him supporting the Houthis is literally just supporting the terrorizing and murder of civilians and bombing of American ships. Just want to make this clear.
To implement a block.
Also, another thing that the Houthis do, because he never brings this up, they have child slave soldiers. They terrorize the people of Yemen. They are one of the major reasons why the people in Yemen are some of the poorest people on the planet, because they use provisions for missiles instead of to feed their people. All right, I want to make this clear. All right, they're fucking monsters too. Fuck the Houthis. God bless Trump for bombing the shit out of them.
Blockade on the Red Sea is a good thing.
All right, so he's saying that it's a good thing, even though, again, it doesn't do anything to stop Israel from attacking Gaza. It does not do anything about that at all, aside from, terrorize civilians and bomb ships. Good stuff.
10 toes fucking down. They are on the morally right side.
So in my opinion, this is providing material support to terrorist organizations because he's actually propagandizing for them, and this could get you 20 years in prison according to American law. Just saying, not saying that Kash Patel should be watching how Hasan Piker's 420% fucked or anything, but yeah,
Don't you also think they're on the morally right side?
What have they done?
You're supposed to.
Hold on.
You're saying that it's a genocide.
What have they done?
What the fuck are they supposed to do?
They hijacked a boat that had nothing to do with Israel.
Crazy.
Like fucking
That's
bravo.
not true. That's not true.
Really? What was that?
That's not true, he says sternly.
What did it have to do with Israel?
It was literally owned by an Israeli.
It was partially
liar. It was not owned by an Israeli.
Owned is a big multi-conglomerate.
They attacked a ship that was going from India to Turkey or something, and it was a British-owned ship, and they kidnapped 15, I think, Filipino people that were driving that ship. This is not from Israel. It is not for Israel. It is not piloted by Israel. It is not owned by Israel. It has absolutely nothing to do with Israel. They're terrorists. And he is 10 toes on the ground advocating for them. Damn, this is crazy, man.
A company that was partially owned by an Israeli.
Yes.
It's not even a company that was partially owned by an Israeli. I'm pretty sure it was a company that did business with another company that was partially owned by an Israeli. Like 1% owner was an Israeli. And he's like, yo, it's so worth it now. One of the company's investors is Jewish. It is totally justified.
Was bound for fucking for Turkey from India.
Yeah, I told you, it was a ship from India to Turkey, piloted by, I think, Filipinos. I don't remember exactly who piloted it, but not Israelis. They talked to a Jew so we could kidnap them. And they held them as captives for a year.
What do you think
kidnapped
BDS
five
is, dude? What do you think
totally
BDS
unrelated Filipino fucking prisoners and kept them prisoners for a year.
In your fucking video. Are you going to take that back too now? Now you admit that you were wrong on that
Take
part
what
too?
back? I didn't hear
Wow,
you.
what are we on? 4? 5? How many points have you actually backtracked
I don't know
on
I don't know what you're accusing me of. What was I wrong about?
You said in your video that it had nothing to do with Israel.
It had nothing to do with Israel.
You claimed that it wasn't owned by an
Partially
Israeli
owned by an Israeli
conglomerate.
guy?
You were wrong.
He was right. It's not owned by an Israeli conglomerate. It's owned by the British. Actual fucking retard.
Partially owned by an Israeli guy?
And does this make it good? Like, is it okay to kidnap 5 Filipino people on a ship going from Turkey to India or India to Turkey because one of the investors in the company is Jewish? Like, this is just blatant support of terrorism. Like, it's absolutely insane. Also, I just want to make this clear. You really think kidnapping the crew of a ship from India to Turkey that has an investor that's Jewish is gonna save the people in Gaza? Bro, they didn't fucking save Gaza with this one. What is even going on?
It's
dude's
British.
just supporting terrorists, right? Like, we're all on the same page. Like, until now, when I called him a terrorist supporter, people were like, oh, listen, that's going far. Maybe he only sympathizes a little. No, he supports them.
Owned. It's owned by a British
It
company.
is an Israeli
It's
conglomerate
owned by a
that owns
British
the
company.
fucking ship.
So
I love how he just thinks if he says the lie louder, people will believe it.
it's owned by a British
You literally
company.
claimed that it was owned by Isle of Man. It was an Isle of Man ship.
It is.
Like, you think all of these ships mysteriously are just owned by that, and it's not a fucking...
Not all of them, just, you know, a lot of them. And American ships, too. They bomb American ships. What is going on? You really think this is saving Gaza? Like, fuck, they're terrorists, man. Like, what are we doing here?
Easy.
They brutalize the people in Yemen also. They have child slave soldiers, my guy. They throw gay people off buildings. Like, why are you defending them tooth and nail? Like, what is even going on? The progressive left supporting a terrorist organization that executes gay people.
How much of this? So, if this Jewish or this Israeli guy is
0.5.
If this
0.5. Wait, did he just say 0.5? A Jewish guy owns 0.5% of the company, and he's like, all right, so you can kidnap their fucking Filipino pilots? What is going on? Oh, it's over. It's over, man. You can't write this shit. This is too good to be true.
Israeli guy, how much does he need to own of this business that owns this boat to justify? Is it 0.1? Is it 0.2? Is it 5%? How much?
I don't know, and I don't care, because
I don't care. Any amount, if a Jew owns it, that crew is getting cooked by the Houthis. Woo!
Think that
Well,
even if they got some of the ships wrong, I still think they're on the right side.
This is the craziest defense I've ever heard in my life. This is the craziest shit ever, bro. Oh my god. All right, so listen, they may have terrorized civilians and not actually succeeded in doing anything, but Hasan supports them.
Don't you?
I mean, like,
no,
I agree
they're
with
terrorists.
I'm not even conceding on.
See, in my opinion, Ethan takes a huge L by even conceding a little bit to the Houthis.
That front, by the way, because I do think that, once again, that was owned by an Israeli conglomerate.
No,
it wasn't. He's just lying. He's just repeating the same point that was just debunked.
See, that's an outright lie. You're lying. It's not owned by an Israeli conglomerate. You're fucking lying. That's an outright pathetic lie. And you're basically running defense for a terrorist organization.
He is running defense for terrorist
Now,
organization.
do I defend what they do? I think what they're doing, their message is good. Their method is terrible.
Their message is, by the way, in case you were curious, because I'm sure you're very curious about this, let me show you their message. Houthi slogan. All right, I'm not don't want to be controversial or anything. All right, okay, don't want to be controversial. This is the Houthi slogan. It's called the Sarka, or Sarka, whatever. It means the scream. All right, this is the political slogan of the Houthis. It translated to God is the greatest, death to America, death to Israel, curse be upon the Jews, victory to Islam. That is their message. They say it with their chest puffed out. Good, we're on the same page.
Oh, wait, dude, let's ring up the fucking Al-Houthi family real quick. Tell us how you would stop a genocide.
Well, they're not stopping anything. I want to make this clear. They're not doing anything. Like, they're not actually succeeding in anything aside from terrorizing civilians in Israel and bombing American ships and kidnapping Filipinos. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? He's retarded.
The poorest country.
Well, not hijacking an unaffiliated boat and kidnapping 15 fucking nationals and holding them for a year. How is that helping anyone?
Yeah, that's another thing that you actually got wrong, by the way, that even fucking Willie Sloptube called you out on. Those people, by the time you had released your context puke, those people had been released.
It was...
He held them for a year. How is this a point that he's making? I can't believe you said that they held them for a year when they in fact held them for a year. No, he did hold them for a year. He was just completely correct with what he just said. That's insane. I don't know how that helps the argument at all. And another thing to be clear, them bombing ships on the Red Sea is not only affecting Israel, by the way, it's affecting every single coastal place in the Middle East. It is affecting America. America has lost millions because Houthis keep bombing ships in the region. Like, what is going on? First of all, this is the worst refutation in the history of time. Second of all, what the fuck? Actual support of terrorists that Trump is currently bombing? I don't know. We got to see what's happening. Is Hasan actually 1,000% cooked after this debate? Time will tell. 1,000% cooked, by the way, is when he's arrested or deported. or something crazy.
Yeah, I remember. I
do?
said they were prisoners for a year. I know they were released. It literally happened like the day I was finishing the video.
It's just you couldn't.
They were held. Were they held prisoner for a year? Were they held prisoner for a year? Were they held prisoner for a year? Were they held prisoner for a year?
Yeah, they were.
That's what I said. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh.
They were all hostages.
So how's that help Israel taking a bunch of Filipino fucking unaffiliated sailors hostage for a year?
Do you understand the concept of deterrence?
Deterrence? How is it deterring? According to them, it's a genocide. All right. How is it deterring a war in Gaza by kidnapping Filipino sailors? What is going on? What absolute moron?
How does it deter Israel? Kidnapping fucking.
Do you understand the concept of deterrence?
He repeats his incredibly thought out point.
Yes,
how is that a deterrence?
This is awesome.
It is a show of force.
A show of force. Yeah, he really showed Israel by kidnapping 15 Filipinos.
To stop successfully, mind you, to stop other commercial shipping from.
By the way, I just want to make this clear. The reason why Israel is currently wiping out Hamas as well as they can is because they want to deter Hamas from killing more civilians. Just want to make that clear. It's also a deterrence. It's a show of force, you know.
Going through, they literally bankrupted an entire Israeli port. I'd say that
didn't happen.
Numbers on the fucking board, baby.
I mean, I don't really think it did at all. Do you think that the Houthis stopped the genocide in Gaza, according to them? According to them, there's a genocide in Gaza going on, and it didn't stop. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. This is crazy.
And like I said, 10 toes down, support that initiative. Because if you believe it's a genocide, what the fuck are they supposed to do? Should they
stop their own people in Yemen from starving to death? Maybe that's what they should do? There's mass starvation in Yemen, and the Houthi terrorists decided to fucking attack the government, execute the... By the way, the Houthis executed the people in charge of Yemen, okay? And they are... Okay, let me pull up the fucking Houthi crimes list, because, I mean, this is absurd. He's like... the Houthis are really saving Palestine with this one. All right, let's see. Let's figure out, according to the AI, why are the Houthis bad? All right, let's see. Who knows? All right, so use of child soldiers, that's pretty bad. Attacks of civilians and civilian infrastructure, all right. They do that everywhere, all right. Arbitrary detention and torture, all right. So they torture people that they kidnap, like journalists, all right. War crimes, you know, Hasan likes war crimes. Sexual violence and abuse in detention, all right. So that's pretty bad. Attacks on shipping in the Red Sea, all right. That's not good. We don't like that at all. Missile and drone attacks on Israel and regional targets. Yep, they attack civilian areas. Hell yeah, that's pretty awesome. Good shit. Blocking. By the way, in case you're unaware, this is like a daily occurrence where Israelis have to wake up their children to drag them into bomb shelters at a 30 seconds notice to make sure they don't get bombed by fucking Houthis. Just want to make that clear. Missile and drone attacks on Israel and regional targets. Blocking humanitarian aid. All right. By the way, this is blocking humanitarian aid to the people in Yemen. Yemen has a famine. People are dying of hunger in Yemen, and the Houthis are blocking the humanitarian aid to their own people. Real heroes. Persecution of religious minorities. All right, they execute Christians and Jews in Yemen. All right, okay. They also use landmines. All right, in populated areas. Classic. They hold hostages for propaganda. All right, that's pretty bad. Revival of slavery. All right, happens to the best of us. They cause famine and humanitarian crisis by contributing to Yemen's civil war since 2014. They were linked to the deaths of 377,000 people in Yemen, which, by the way, why is it Yemen? Because Yemen, they're from Yemen. They're a Yemeni terrorist organization. By the way, in case you're unaware, they were linked to the deaths of 377,000 Yemenis due to violence and famine. In case you were curious, Hasan would care about this because this is more than 5 times the amount of people that were killed in Gaza. I just want to make this clear. More than 5 times the amount of people killed in Gaza. But Hasan has never mentioned this. He doesn't care. Mostly peaceful terrorism. All right, extremist ideology. Allah is great. Death to the USA. Death to Israel. Curse upon the Jews. Victory to Islam. You know this stuff. Anyway, they're terrorists. They're fucking awful, fucking monstrous terrorists. Anyway, I never heard him talk about the fact that the Houthis are doing any of that. But whatever.
Should they allow their coastline to continue having commerce as though nothing is going on up there?
What is this? There is a war somewhere, so these people that are killing their own people are also bombing American ships. Classic.
In Palestine, where Israel is doing a genocide in Palestine, how do you think the Yemeni population should have responded.
You mean the starving Yemeni population where 377,000 of them were killed because of the contributions of the Houthis? You mean that Yemeni population that you clearly care about so much?
To the Israeli genocide. Should they have sat back and just
maybe they shouldn't have starved their own people and stole all of their fucking material aid to use them as rockets to shoot against civilians in Israel?
Is not Houthi, by the way.
And also, they can't say, obviously, they fucking can't say from the river to the sea, Palestine, because that scares you, Ethan. So
no, that actually is a genocidal slogan to kill all Jews in Israel.
Obviously, they can't do that either. So
scares. I mean, it doesn't. It's what Norman Finkelstein
said. How can people be pro-Palestine in a way that you think is appropriate?
Were your example?
I cannot believe it's all the Jews' fault that in Syria they murdered over 500,000 Syrians, and in Yemen over 300,000 people in Yemen. I cannot believe Israel would be talked about when that stuff is happening. Look at the terrorist organizations that Hamas Piker over here supports. Hezbollah, who contributed to the death of over 500,000 people in Syria. He supports the Houthis, who contributed to the deaths of over 350,000 people in Yemen. Like, what are we even doing here? What are we even doing here? Like, this is crazy.
In a way.
And let's just be clear here. Those terrorist organizations did that shit because they wanted control, because they wanted all sorts of despicable shit. Hamas started the war that's going on with Israel right now. Hamas started a war they knew they couldn't win. Let it sink in who's really fucking bad to the Palestinians.
That you think is appropriate.
Where your example is hijacking an unaffiliated ship and kidnapping 15 sailors?
Not unaffiliated. It's not unaffiliated. But even
it is unaffiliated. He keeps repeating this point.
If it was unaffiliated, as I've said already, if it was unaffiliated, that wasn't unaffiliated. You lied about that, and you recognize that you lied about that for the record.
Okay.
He's delusional.
But if it was,
people can look into it.
It wasn't. Even if it.
Why
if
did
it was
they didn't need to kidnap
unaffiliated-
random people. That's like terrorist shit. Why they?
Yeah, they're terrorists.
Kidnapping random unaffiliated sailors. How are you defending
Ethan,
that?
You know what's
You're defending them
shit?
kidnapping these
You know what's terrorist shit, Ethan?
unrelated foreign sailors?
You know what's terrorist shit? Israel fucking
By the way, the reason why I included this long segment is for this next part.
blowing up a humanitarian aid
When did I defend
flotilla.
that?
So Hasan is arguing that terrorist shit is when Israel blew up. What did they blow up?
Terrorist shit. Israel fucking blowing up a humanitarian aid
When did
flotilla.
I defend that?
For someone that loves evidence like Hasan Piker, to the point that he even thinks that it's super important to have evidence and the circumstantial evidence of the rapes that happened on October 7th, like, you know, women tied up naked with bullets in their head and blood between their legs. That's not enough evidence for Hasan. For someone that really likes evidence, he's really quick to blame Israel without evidence. There is no evidence at this time that Israel blew up that flotilla. Maybe there will be evidence by the time in a day when this video comes up, but there is zero evidence that Israel actually did that. Anyway, but that's classic Hasan. He likes lying. He likes doing his shit. Let's move on. He keeps glazing the Houthis for another like 5 minutes. If you want to watch him continuously repeat talking points like late Houthis, you can go there. I'm going to skip to the next timestamp where he says that Houthis should get the Nobel Peace Prize. I'm not even joking.
Israel, as it is implemented a genocide.
All right, let's give him a peace prize. Whatever. I don't care.
So he's like saying this like sarcastically, right?
Sure. Let's give him a peace prize.
I think they deserve it.
Yes.
And then Hasan comes back. Yes, we should give the Houthis a peace prize. They do deserve a Nobel Peace Prize. Nothing like the people that contributed to the deaths of 377,000 people in Yemen to get a Nobel Peace Prize because they kidnapped some Filipinos as a deterrent against Israel. What a classic moment. What a classic Houthi W. Are we ready? My retardation foundation knows no bounds. All right, we got to skip to the Anne Frank shit because, as we know, Hasan considers the Houthi terrorist that he interviewed basically like Anne Frank, the Jewish girl that was murdered by Nazis in the Holocaust.
With Israel, many of these people, including
Do you think he's like Anne Frank?
What?
Do you think he's like Anne Frank?
Oh, of course, absolutely.
He doubles down. True, the Houthi terrorist is like Anne Frank. Dude, you can't make this shit up.
He has withstood genocide. He has withstood genocide.
All right, let's be clear. He withstood genocide from Saudi Arabia. All right, he is saying that the reason why it's okay for the Houthis to be bombing Israel is because they withstood a genocide from Saudi Arabia. All right, he doesn't say that. He just said withstood genocide to, in my opinion, trick people into thinking that it was a genocide from Israel. But that's not what happened.
By the Saudi government. Of course I do.
By the Saudi government. He even makes it clear. All right, hell yeah.
I think that talking to, but my
Anne
point that I
Frank.
was fucking presenting, my point that I was
Anne
fucking
Frank
presenting.
is
And Frank be like, I see the good in people. Even the most evil people, I see the good in them. And she was murdered in a concentration camp where her diary was later published. The Houthi terrorists are kidnapping fucking unaffiliated Filipino sailors to act as a deterrent to Israel and contributed to the deaths of 377,000 people. And he's like, yeah.
famous for being a pacifist and seeing the good in people despite a fucking Holocaust that took every member of her family but her dad. That's why she's inspiring. This guy went on Twitter and said, fuck Jewish
would you think
people.
Anne Frank would be less inspiring if she somehow was able to get out?
If she was like, I want to kill Germans and hang them, yeah.
And took up arms?
Well, I'll be honest. While I do think that would make her maybe less inspiring in one way, I want to make something clear. The Houthis and the Jews in the Holocaust are very different people. I'm surprised that Ethan lets him get away with this, because I would think that there's a pretty big differentiation between Jews in the Holocaust, where they just kind of existed, and Germans decided, you know what, let's fucking murder all of them on the planet, and killed 6 million of them, give or take, a couple. And then the Houthis, who, because they were treated badly by Saudi Arabia, which they have been, without a doubt, now they're murdering their own people and stealing their food and shooting missiles at civilians. What? What are we talking about?
Against the Nazis? Would you say that Anne Frank is bad for that? Say Anne Frank is bad for that, Ethan.
For something that didn't happen?
He's trying so hard to get him to say that Anne Frank would be bad if Anne Frank was hateful towards Nazis. Well, Anne Frank would probably be less inspiring, that's for sure. But you cannot possibly compare Jews during the Holocaust to Houthi terrorists bombing ships that have nothing to do with them while they're starving their own people. Like, you cannot possibly compare these situations. It's insane. Anyway, they keep yapping about Anne Frank being like the Houthis for a while. I love that double down. That's absolutely insanity. But if you skip to about 3 hours, 45 minutes, and 40 seconds into this debate, as you can see, I took extensive research. This is where Hasan supports terrorism again. But this time, the other kind of terrorism. Because, you know, Hasan has this thing that says that, and even though that there's a mandatory conscription in Israel where everyone needs to conscript to be part of the army, and he still considers every Israeli soldier bad, bad meaning a terrorist, even though it's a mandatory conscription, but he also considers America terrorism. Isn't Hasan paying taxes kind of the same as going to the military in Israel? I mean, you have to pay taxes, but maybe you should just die instead of paying taxes. You paying taxes are literally contributing to the terrorist regime of America, according to Hasan Piker. Now, the funny thing is, this is a point that I've made in my How Fucked is Hasan Piker franchise so far. So, I mean, I'm not saying that anyone got this talking point from me. I'm sure other people have said this too, because it's a really obvious one. But it is pretty funny that the How Fucked is Hasan Piker talking points are rearing their ugly heads.
Could have gone to jail and done a conscientious objection instead of joining the army.
Right, so Hasan's argument is that Klein, instead of going to the army, because they're conscripted to go to the army, it's a mandatory draft. His argument is, instead of that, she should just go to jail instead.
Why do you pay taxes? Why do you pay taxes to the United States government?
This is your big argument, Ethan?
Answer the question.
That I pay taxes and I'm morally culpable? I know. That's why I try to fucking fight against this goddamn government
Well,
doing
why
this
don't you
shit
stand
every
up for
day.
your Why don't you stand up for your principles and go to jail for it?
Because it would not actually stop.
Wow. So your entire argument about IDF soldiers falls apart. All right. Hell yeah. It would not actually stop. Anyway, bro gets cooked. Actual clown moment. Exposed for who he is. And now I think I want to go to probably the most unbelievable part of the debate, where Hasan truly proves that he knows absolutely nothing about the history of the Middle East. And despite the fact that he built his entire career as a posturing, virtue signaling Mr. Beast of Palestine, it turns out he knows absolutely nothing about the history of the Middle East. So a lot of people don't know this, but after 1948, where the state of Israel was established, a lot of the Arab countries around Israel decided, whoa, we gotta kill all our Jews. And they decided to kill and expel all their Jews. This is a known thing, and about 900,000 Jews were forced to leave their various homes in Morocco and Syria and Iran, and they all were basically expelled and went to Israel. So Hasan, somehow, denies historical fact.
Does that have to do with the Jewish refugees? Answer that question. I know what the Nakba is. I don't deny it.
Do you think that is even remotely comparable to Jewish people
How is it not?
leaving sometimes voluntarily.
Sometimes voluntarily, he says.
And sometimes because their governments had made
How
deals
many
with
left voluntarily?
either Israel or France.
How many of the 900,000 left voluntarily?
I don't know the exact number of how many left voluntarily. Do you?
Give us a range, bro.
Take a guess.
I would suspect that a big chunk of them, you're going to say, did not leave voluntarily, but that is not the case.
Well, you're
Most
lying.
of them left-
What is he talking about? What is he talking about? There is extensive evidence of all these different countries bombing synagogues and stabbing Jews in the streets. Like, what are we even talking about? Like, this is insanity.
You're fucking dead wrong. You brought up the fact that I talked about what happened in Iraq. So let me give you a timeline of what happened in Iraq. 1932, they gain independence. 1934, Hebrew is banned. Jews are fired from government positions. 1938, Zionist activity is outlawed. Crimes as trivial as possessing a biblical map of the Holy One will send you to jail.
All right, you hold a Bible, they jail you. All right, that sounds not good.
The Farhud pogrom, inspired by neo-Nazis, Rashid al-Khalini.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know this, but the early Arabs that lived in Palestine during World War II actually collaborated with Hitler. A lot of them did as well to help get Jews killed. Like, this is historical fact. They did not like Jews for a very long time. Yeah, all right. But Hasan denies that because obviously the source of all problems in the world are Jews.
Killed 180 Jews. Hundreds were injured. Widespread looting, property damage. 1947, Jews were banned from immigrating because they didn't want them to go strengthen the state of Israel, and they wanted to hold them prisoners against Israel and the West. In 1948, the war begins. Jewish banks were forbidden to transact with foreign.
The war begins. I wonder who started that war. I don't think it was the Jews.
Countries. Jews were arrested for Zionist activity, for economic crimes. They were fines that were paid to the Ministry of Defense.
By the way, a lot of these fines, it is actually done that if you're not Muslim, you pay extra taxes. I'm pretty sure. That might be a conspiracy theory, but I'm pretty sure I saw that.
In 1949, a month after taking office, the British learned that they were planning to expel the Jews from Iraq before they even left. Does this sound like volunteer? Does this sound voluntary? Does that sound voluntary?
Here, I sent you a clip.
No.
One of the most important scholars on this issue.
Oh my God!
Is
please.
an Iraqi Jew by the name of Avi Shleim.
Oh, this is awesome.
Yeah, I love this. Let's listen to him.
Okay,
all right.
Let's listen to it.
Yeah.
So remember, this is the guy that Hasan picked to prove his point that people left of their own free will.
We're convinced that Israel had a hand in uprooting them. After the 1948 war, there was mounting popular hostility towards the Jews in Iraq.
That's not good.
5 bombs exploded in Jewish sites. The series of bombs created a panic which led more and more Jews to register to leave the country. I met an elderly friend of my mother's, an Iraqi Jew called Yaakov Karkukli, who had been in the Zionist underground. One member of his group, Yosef Basri, a very, very intelligent Jewish lawyer, and his assistant, Shalom Saleh Shalom, were responsible for 3 out of the 5 bombs. Basri's controller was an Israeli intelligence officer named Max Binet.
Let's grant that what he's saying is true and that 3 of the 5 bombs were done by Zionists, right? How does that explain 150,000 people leaving the fucking country? Thousands of years of civilization that have been there, 2,000 years, just picking up and leaving, almost virtually gone. How does that explain that?
Good question.
Why is it that the Israeli government benefited from creating instability and making it seem as though these countries were uninhabitable? And why do you think that, despite the fact that Iraq and numerous other countries have offered Israelis or
get ready for this part
Jews a right to return?
Provide evidence to that. Provide fucking evidence to that. They only gave Jews and Israelis a quote-unquote right to return after they failed to kill them. All right, they started a war in 1967. All right, they started a war where they tried to wipe them out. It was called the 6-Day War. Israel won the war. And then, after they failed to exterminate the Jews in the region, they were like, do you want to come back to our countries after we tried to murder all of you? That is not a right to return. 20 fucking years later after trying to exterminate them and failing. Unbelievable, terrible history revisionism. Oh my God.
Because they were being
failed on the Israeli front for numerous reasons.
Let me tell you an inconvenient fact for you,
Hassan.
Hassan.
Arrive at that conclusion.
Let me tell you an inconvenient fact.
I wonder why that happened.
Before
right
the
as
bombs
Israel
went
was
off,
being established.
Before the bombs went off, 100,000 of the 125 Jews were already registered to leave.
Oh, so it turns out those bombs had nothing to do with the Jews leaving. I wonder why the Jews left.
Do you want to explain that?
Yes. Jews wanted to go to Israel, Ethan. They liked the
great.
idea
So
of
let me hear
going
what.
to Israel.
Okay, so
You like Israel.
Yeah, you're
What
a
do you
liar.
mean?
You're a disgusting fucking propagandist liar.
I mean, Jews have been praying to go back to Israel for a very long time, because there've always been Jews in Israel. In fact, it's kind of big part of the Jewish faith. Very fair. True. You make a good point. However, they were also expelled of all these countries because they were being threatened and tortured, which is also true. And by the way, my conspiracy theory is actually not a conspiracy theory. Apparently, jizya is a tax taken from free non-Muslim subjects of an Islamic government. Just thought you'd find that interesting. My conspiracy theory was not fake.
Here's what Avi Schleim actually said.
All right, you ready?
Scumbag.
You're ready? So this is the guy that Hasan used to try to prove that Jews left of their own free will. You're ready, gamers?
Was lobbed, one hand grenade was lobbed by a young activist in the Istiklal party, which wanted to expel the Jews from Iraq and confiscate the properties. And another bomb was, another hand grenade was lobbed into the Masoud Hashem Tov synagogue,
Nice.
and there 4 people were
mostly peaceful protests, am I right, guys?
killed. And he was a criminal who had a grudge against the Jews, and it had nothing to do with the Mossad.
Did you hear that? The first 2 had nothing to do with the Mossad. But let's continue to listen to the respected scholar, Avi Schleim, you fucking liar.
Hold on.
Nope, you listen to this fucking historian. Yes, you said they left by choice. They left because of Zionism. They left because they were being threatened. Let's hear what your respected historian has to say, you liar.
All right.
Wait, even
listen.
if all this is true, the main reason for the exodus was not the bombs.
Oh, so the historian that he brought up to prove that the main reason for the exodus was wanting to move to Israel, that wasn't true at all.
It was persecution by the government.
Oh, it was government persecution that made the Jews leave. Wow. Most of the Jews in Israel actually were there because they were expelled from other countries. You know, there's this little thing called the Holocaust that happened in Europe. I don't know if Hasan ever heard of that, but that was one reason why a lot of Jews went to Israel. There were the persecutions in Iraq and in Syria and in Iran and in Morocco and other reasons why Jews were expelled out of those countries to go to Israel. Crazy, huh? It's almost like they really were expelled from different places. What? No, that's crazy. I can't even believe it. Oopsie poopsie. The guy that he brought up to prove his point actually proved the exact opposite point. That's crazy. Anyway, skipping to the next part of Hasan denying historical fact because he has absolutely no idea what actually went on in history and he's just an activist.
Anti-Jewish riots broke out amid post-war unrest. Synagogues were burned. Jewish institutions were shut down.
Nothing truly offends Hasan like historical facts. This is truly a sad day for retards.
Point about Anne Frank. Why are you trying to deflect away from
Go back to Anne Frank. Go back to Anne
No,
Frank.
I just think that statement was insane. The Six-Day War backlash. In 1967, another Israel victory.
For you
mob
was,
Jews.
Another Israel victory, by the way. It was started by not the Jews. A lot of people don't know this. Yes, absolutely, there were Jewish incidents of violence that definitely happened in the early beginning of the state of Israel. I think that's for sure. Absolutely, 100%. I don't think Israel started a single war in the history of the country. I don't think they did. If anyone could correct me on that, I would definitely love to see that. But I'm pretty sure they have not started a single war. That said, it is crazy to me watching this like history revisionism here by historical scholar and master of the Middle East, Hasan Piker.
Jewish communities got mobbed. 6,000 Jews were evacuated. Homes were destroyed. Synagogues were burned. In Morocco, 250,000 Jews were expelled.
That's a lot of Jews.
Anti-Jewish riots broke out in 1948. You'll notice all of these, most of these pogroms are happening in 1948 as a direct result of the war. The Arabs turned on their Jewish populace out of anti-Semitism.
All right,
period. Point blank.
That's just a true fact. All right, move on to the next clip of true facts that Hasan very much doesn't like at exactly 4 hours, 9 minutes, and 25 seconds. Holy shit, I'm glad I wrote a doc.
Bro, you are continually, okay, not acknowledging the trauma of Middle Eastern Jews. You characterize it like they left.
Have you ever listened?
Yes, I've seen it. Middle Eastern Jews. You characterize it like they left.
Bro, the thumbnail. We got him. We got him, boys. Hasan Piker in 4K.
Have you ever listened?
Yes, I've seen it.
Have you ever listened to anything that's not 30 seconds long?
Bro. That's so ironic that you're saying that.
All right, so we're going to get the full context, the historical context of Hasan defending Jews. Wow, this will change everything.
As you misquote Avi Schleim, who said he fled because he was afraid and not because of Zion. Here's
the crash out is coming.
Times over and over again. But you're too busy trying to get a gotcha here, so you can fucking farm a clip. But everyone's still going to think you're a fucking loser, dude.
Everyone's going to think you're a loser. He says while coping.
I'm sorry. Just shut up.
Unbelievable crash out. It's incredible. All right, so this is the clip of Hasan actually talking about this historically. This is going to look good.
I've been listening. If you want to actually hear my perspective.
I'm shutting up and listening to you.
Iraq.
Okay, thank you.
The Iraqi Jews. Because when anti-Semitism increases in the West, Israel sees that as a complementary tool to its Zionist project, Zionist ambition of bringing either all Jews to Israel or at least make Jews in the Western world that are outside of Israel, Jews in diaspora, support Israel, because it gives additional credence to the argument. It gives additional credence to the argument that no Jew is ever safe if there is no Jewish state.
So Hasan is making the argument that Israel wants terrorists to attack Israel to get other Jews to think that Jews aren't safe. Like, dude, how could you be this fucking crazy? Like, I don't understand. How do you even do this? Like, this is crazy. What do you do? Like, bro, how do you tie yourself into knots that much?
That is the underpinning of the Zionist project in general.
The Zionist project is, according to Hasan, abusing Arabs, so Arabs hurt Jews, so the Jews can claim, wow, look at Arabs hurting Jews. It's all part of the plan to hurt Jews, to get other Jews to hate more Arabs or something. What do you even do, man?
Why did you not mention the anti-Semitism? You exclusively...
I mean, that is why most people were expelled from their country.
Talk about Zionism being the reason for forcing them out. Why do you deny that they were expelled by force, the vast majority of them?
Like, this is a historical fact. It shouldn't be too hard to, you know, admit the history is real.
Ethan, if you think that is the entirety of my perspective on this matter,
illuminate me.
So say your perspective. He's literally blathering the same point for like a half an hour here, trying his best not to make it look like people have ever been mean to Jews anywhere.
You please need to stop talking and listen to the amount of times that I've talked about this.
Listen.
Bro, just explain yourself.
I'm trying.
I just watched a clip of you being pretty dismissive about the flight. And by the way, you've done it this whole time. You say that Zionism was the main force.
No, I'm dismissive about the aspect that this is beneficial to the Zionist project across the board, because Israel wants all Jews to be constantly fucking terrified in any other country that's not Israel, so that they can actually go and either support Israel if they're not in Israel,
well, I mean, Jews are generally scared in other countries when people in the other countries don't like Jews. Hasan, you are contributing to this. I don't think you realize that. If Hasan thinks that Zionism is all just scaring Jews into thinking that they're not safe in other places, then Hasan is really contributing to Zionism right now.
Just move to Israel. That is the entire point. That is what Jabotinsky wanted. That is what Herzl wanted. And that is precisely what Benjamin Netanyahu wants as well. So in terms of my explanation, or what I come across as dismissive, is precisely the role that Israel itself played in this process.
Which was minuscule.
Because it was a mutually beneficial relationship. That anti-Semitic pogroms.
Minuscule. What you fail to acknowledge is that the Jews were forced to become Zionists, not by choice, but by necessity, because the Arab countries turned on them after the war and forced them to go to the only state that they...
I get the position you're trying to arrive at, but I'm going to deny the historical fact and replace it with my own.
Which is that it's a necessity for Israel to exist, which is what your position is, right?
No, it's not about what was allowed.
He's losing. This is crazy. He's literally just denying reality. Anyway, Hasan is a solution to all the conflicts that are going on literally everywhere, because he's a political mastermind, as I've just proven with this video. So lock in, boys and girls. Get ready to hear the worst take ever.
To the Nakba.
You're not answering. Did they leave
It is
because
not
of
comparable to the Nakba.
I don't care. That's got nothing to do with what I'm talking about. I'm not comparing them.
It has
And by the way,
everything to do with
they're
what
both.
you're talking about. You
they're
made that
both
comparison
unique.
to say
Yeah.
like to make it seem as though it was a much larger
No, because
crime
people like
that
you
Jews had to
ignore the
withstand
trauma
in
of the fact that
different
you want to
countries.
tell that people in Israel to go back to where they came from. This is where they're from. They were forced to go to
But
Israel.
They could right now. They could.
He really thinks this is the solution. That the Jews should go back to where they came from. But not too far back, because if you go too far back from where the Jews came from, it's back in Israel. You see, the Jews were in Israel thousands of years ago. There have always been a Jewish presence in Israel, but we don't want them to go to where they came from that far back. We want them to go back to where they came from, you know, when they were being abused by the different governments. Maybe they should go back to Poland. I'm sure that people in Poland won't mind. What about Germany? Well, Germany might be cool with it, but I don't know a lot of Jews that want to move back to Germany, to be honest. What about, they should all just move back to Morocco, where they expelled them all. Or Iraq, where they just killed 500,000 citizens for being not the right kind of Muslim. All right? They should absolutely move back to all these areas. Colossal W, Hasan. Wow. He is literally so smart. Maybe they should go back to the Sinai Desert, because they were there at one point. That's a good place for Jews. What do you think? Huh? Well, maybe they should open up a fucking amusement park in Auschwitz concentration camp in like, what are we even talking about? This is retarded. This is literally his defense. If this is the mind of like pro-Palestine people, then it's mind-boggling to think that they even have any support at all. Because this is not realistic in the slightest. He's defending terrorists and saying, well, the solution is the Jews could just go back to where they came from. But not too far back, because that's Israel again. What are you even doing with this? But only go back to the countries where they were being massacred and expelled from. What are you talking about? This is not real life at all. Anyway, more of go back to where you came from.
Pan-Arab nationalism. You said that yourself. These 5 Arab countries were defeated in 1948, and they turned super fucking anti-Semitic as a result. They became ultra-nationalist Arabs. It became popular. As Israel declared independence, they said, fuck no, we don't want this country here. And yeah, they all became anti-Semitic. That's a historical fact that you deny.
You also failed to recognize that the Iraqi Jews have been allowed to return to Iraq, and there have been numerous...
Yeah, 20 years later after they lost another war and tried to execute all of them. Like, it's an unbelievably insane take. You failed to mention that all Jews could just leave. Hell yeah, dude. They could just leave, guys. Huge W. Whatever. This conversation is over, and it was really, really long. It was essentially the last, like, hour of this conversation was just Hasan denying history. But anywho, I want to move into Hasan being a complete coward.
Be anti-Semitism. No, they don't like you because you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, and you have to be babied by goddamn producers as a 40-year-old adult. That's the reason why people don't like it.
Very good. Very good. Now, why don't you watch Bad Empanada's videos about you?
So he only reacts to when Bad Empanada, the previous psychopath we mentioned, makes critical videos of Ethan, but he doesn't watch Bad Empanada's videos on himself. Interesting.
Because he's pro-Palestine.
Oh, because he's a complete coward.
And I don't give a fuck about...
He was criticizing you.
Palestine.
So he watches his hit piece videos on this guy, but not on himself. And the reason why is because he's pro-Palestine.
You're
and
such
I don't
a
care
coward,
about the
Hasan.
difference in method.
It's a glorious coward moment. I had to include that. I'm sorry. I know that it's not super relevant for the overall context. It's just he's such a giant coward. I had to include it. It's important, bro. It's important. So anyway, Hasan thinks that Nelson Mandela is like Hamas, which is retarded, because Nelson Mandela was a designated terrorist that did his absolute best not to target civilians and only target infrastructure. But he thinks he's just like Hamas.
Shit that Loner Box told you.
Why
and
was
then you're
it?
gonna
What?
say the violent things that
Hasan.
the violent things that the ANC did were in the Truth and Reconciliation Committee attributed to
Hasan, how many civilians died in the 20 years?
Oh, that's a good question. That would debunk his whole claim if it wasn't a lot.
In the ANC during the ANC's,
it was like 200, I think.
Less than 100.
100. How many
Good try.
How many people did Hamas kill on one day? Nelson Mandela, which I'll read you a quote from his trial. I'll read you a quote.
Are you comparing the apartheid structure in South Africa to 76 years of colonial occupation?
Don't you do that all the time?
Oh my God, this is crazy.
No,
you call it apartheid all the time.
And the militancy has gotten far more radical.
Like, this is an argument. Nelson Mandela was trying his best to not kill civilians. Hamas is trying their absolute best to kill civilians. In fact, it is in Hamas's actual charter to kill civilians. Like, you don't understand. Hamas aims to kill civilians. Do you know why Israel using human shields would not be very effective? Because Hamas wants to kill the humans. That's literally their goal. They rolled in, they murdered a bunch of hippies at a music festival. They murdered and raped them in the desert. Like, this is insanity. Like, insanity to the nth degree. Of course they want to kill them. Like, this is the opposite of what Nelson Mandela wanted. In fact, if you want to actually see what Nelson Mandela wanted, I thought this was pretty funny, actually, not gonna lie. This was a little bit funny. Nelson Mandela was a Zionist.
Mandela, a Zionist?
Yes, Nelson Mandela. Are you going to say in 1999 he said Israel has a legal right to exist?
More
in
than
that
that.
same
He
speech
said more
that you're
than
going to
that.
fucking clip, chimp.
Remember that you called this guy a neo-Nazi, not fit to be a dog catcher. That's what you said about
What?
Nelson Mandela.
Wait,
No,
what are you talking about? What? Whoa, you're jumping off a million different points.
The right of Israel to exist as a state legally.
Yikes! Not a good moment if you're a Hasan fan. I guess Nelson Mandela, his favorite terrorist, is actually also a Zionist. Nice.
We have stood quite openly and firmly for the right of that state to exist within secured borders.
You disagree with that statement?
Does Israel has a right to exist? Not in the way that it currently does.
Within secure borders.
Ethan, hold on.
Coward.
This is unbelievable. These people are amazing. All right, I just wanted to wrap up with one final moment of this debate where he says that Hamas is productive or whatever. So the thing is about Hamas's terrorist attack on October 7th is not only was it an unbelievable atrocity that should have never happened, obviously, a fucking unbelievable tragedy that befell normal humans as a whole, but also it was bad for Gaza because the reason why there is a war going on right now in Gaza is because Hamas started it. Hamas started a war that they could not win. They positioned themselves to have human shields so that they could maximize civilian casualties, so they could criticize Israel more and more and more. This is literally their fucking textbook strategy. And even if you support Palestine, Hamas is really not productive to that cause.
One day.
Probably not when you apologize for all the fucking harm that you've done.
Ethan has to apologize.
Apologize? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Listen.
I have the rest of the clip that you clipped, Chimp, by the way, if you want to hear his actual fucking full-fleshed opinions.
I'm not hiding from it. I literally acknowledge what he said. I don't care.
But so why did you say that he was actually a peaceful resistance type of guy?
When did I say that?
Never said he was peaceful. He just said he didn't kill civilians.
When the fuck did I say that, you liar?
You've said it on numerous occasions.
Awkward.
As opposed
Lie.
to you said that on numerous occasions
said
before someone told you.
Shit, I skipped to the wrong timestamp. My bad. It's a minute before this. Oopsie, oopsie, poopsie, oopsie, poopsie.
Get out of context.
No, I just explained why. Dude, I want Palestine to be free, but you know what? I don't think Hamas is furthering that goal. I think Hamas is counterproductive. They're making it worse. They're causing it to be inevitable. You refuse to.
Why are they making it worse?
You refuse to.
Why are they making it worse, he asks, when Hamas literally started a war that killed every single guy in Gaza that died? It was because Hamas decided to start a war that they knew they couldn't win. It didn't contribute anything. It'll only make shit worse for them. And Hasan loves terrorists so much and loves profiting off the conflict so much that he can't even fathom how Hamas terrorists didn't contribute to this glorious freedom of Palestine that he is fighting for every single day. This is absolute insanity.
Criticize them, which is pathetic. Unlike
Why are they
me,
making it
I'm
worse,
willing to
Ethan?
criticize
Why are
the
they making
Israeli
it worse?
government. I'm
Why are
willing
they
to come
making
to
it
terms with the cruel reality. Hamas.
Walk through it.
What do you mean, why are they making it worse? What are you talking about? Look at Gaza. It is in rubble right now. Do you want to see what Gaza looked like before? Let's see what Gaza looked like before. I think this is important. All right, so Gaza before October 7. I'm just curious to see what it looked like before. All right. So this was Gaza before October 7th. All right, this was Gaza before October 7th. All right. Yeah, so, I'm not trying to do the whole side-by-side, but this was Gaza then, and this is Gaza now. This is because Hamas decided to start a fucking war. Yeah, so in my opinion, I'm not gonna lie, in my opinion, Hamas is fucking horrible. That's my hot take. Hamas terrorists actually really fucking bad. Yeah, they're awful. Awful fucking people that started this shit. And I'll be honest with you, if they decided to surrender and release the hostages a year and a half ago, it would have ended immediately. Immediately.
Why are they making it worse?
And he's like, why are they making it worse?
Well, what was the fucking objective there on October 7th, genius?
Kidnapping, which, by the way, I don't even agree with, which is an international human rights violation. But kidnapping...
I love how he doesn't think that the human rights violation includes shooting missiles from hospitals.
Kidnapping Israeli soldiers, Israeli civilians, to make... to
and what part about that was...
All right, so how was that successful?
Slaughtering fucking families in their homes.
What concessions? Do you think people in Gaza are gonna get more rights through this shit or something? Like, I don't understand. They are an autonomous area that they elected Hamas, and Hamas took over, steals humanitarian aid from their people. They sabotage their own infrastructure to make weapons. Like, what are we even talking about?
Ethan, I don't agree with the tactic.
Their goal was to kill civilians, like they literally said. In fact, Hamas shot 11,000 missiles into Israel over the last 20 years. Like, I'll be honest, to be honest, Hamas is fucking awful. And if after this war started, they would have immediately surrendered and given up the hostages, none of this would have happened. It would have ended immediately. But they didn't do that because they're terrorist scum. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. This was an episode of Hamas Piker being a complete retard. Hell yeah. Classic Hamas Piker retard moment. The diddy drama has ended. We actually got through all the talking points I wanted to do. I've given you context. I've given you evidence. I've looked into the details even deeper than Ethan was willing to be honest, because I am definitely less left than Ethan is. But hell yeah, this was another classic episode of Hasan getting cooked. 420%. Bro is baked, blazed, I would even go as far as to say. Definitely subscribe for more episodes. I cannot believe I actually went through this with details. I looked up receipts and then I decided to put this together. I don't think anyone else did it. I'll be honest, if anyone wants to get an actual condensed part of all the actual moments of this video, please share this one around, because this isn't just reacting to it as it goes by, laughing and eating popcorn, as much as fun as that is, and it is, don't get me wrong. However, I want to make it clear, this one is going through all the major points they said, pulling up the receipts. Please share this around, because shit, this was long to research and shit. But thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you guys. And remember to stay weird, fam. Like, subscribe, and this video was streamed live on kick.com/Nuxanor. See you there. Stay weird, fam.